Chapter 2579. Everyone's scalps went numb as they retreated crazily. The 6 elders of the chasing corpse sect still arrived near the corpse. The 6 of them stood in 6 directions, and quickly formed seals with their palms. Terrifying black holes appeared one after another. In front of them, 6 corpses appeared. Whoosh! The 6 zombies opened their bloody mouths and spat out 6 black rays of light that intertwined in the sky. They formed a large black net that enveloped the area below. It covered the corpse of the saint. Including the purple coffin, it enveloped everything and wanted to take it away. Could it be that this was the legendary Hell's magic net? It could see everything in the world? An elder of the Thousand Calamity sect said. Now that you mention it, I remember that the chasing corpse sect does have such a treasure. I didn't expect them to bring it. The elders of the other sacred grounds also turned pale. Damn it, they couldn't have succeeded, right? Many people became nervous, and their eyes turned red. Although the 3rd coffin was dangerous, it was the corpse of a saint. If they brought it back, they would definitely make a fortune. The saint's body was full of treasures. A wisp of saint's might could destroy the world. If they could obtain the saint's corpse, it would be equivalent to a huge treasure vault. Moreover, the saint was wearing a set of armor. It was probably a saint's artifact. Not to mention the saint's corpse, just the spring of life in the 3rd coffin was enough to make them jealous. This was the spring of life that could revive bones and had a strong vitality. It was very rare and could not be seen outside. Hee hee. It's us! The 6 elders of the chasing corpse sect had ferocious expressions as their eyes emitted a dark green light. The Hell's magic net carefully enveloped the saint's corpse and the purple coffin. Damn it, hurry up and attack! Finally, someone could not help but roar. They naturally wanted a share of the loot. However, Lin Xian's pupils constricted as he quickly waved his hand and said, "Let's go!" At the same time, the dragon sword's spiritual domain enveloped everyone. Pun! Just as he finished doing this, an earth-shattering sound was heard. Between heaven and earth, countless rays of light shone as if they were the light of destruction. A black hole was drawn in the sky and it directly shattered. The 6 elders of the chasing corpse sect and the 6 zombies were all enveloped. Ah! A miserable voice sounded, causing everyone's scalps to go numb. Quick, defend! The people from the Holy Lands and major sects were so frightened that they hurriedly used their trump cards to defend themselves. The terrifying fluctuations came and went quickly. In an instant he disappeared. Everyone thought that they were dreaming. However, the shattered spell formation around them and the shattered armor on their bodies indicated that the spiritual power fluctuations they had sensed just now had indeed existed. Lin Xian also withdrew the dragon sword domain, and they looked forward. Then, he drew in a breath of cold air. Up ahead, the people of the chasing corpse sect had already disappeared without a trace. Not even a drop of blood was left behind. Not only the 6 elders of the chasing corpse sect, but their 6 zombies had also disappeared. Even that terrifying treasure, the Hell Weave, had disappeared. What? Everyone was shocked. Was this the power of a saint? This was too terrifying. In an instant, it could kill a peerless expert. However, this was not what frightened them the most. What terrified them the most was that the corpse in front of them was actually sitting up. That's right, he did sit up. His upper body was upright as he sat on the purple jade platform. Damn it, what's going on? Could it be that the sage had been resurrected? Everyone trembled. F***CK. Chasing corpse sect, I'll remember you. If I can return alive, I'll kill every member of the chasing corpse sect I meet in the future. Many people went crazy. It was all because of the damn chasing corpse sect that they had to make a move. If they didn't make a move, the sage's corpse definitely wouldn't have changed. And it wouldn't have sat up like now. Who knew if the other party would have survived? Because they should be able to feel that the sage was indeed breathing. A corpse was breathing. This made them think that the sage in front of them shouldn't be dead. It was as if he had fallen into a deep sleep. I've encountered such a situation before. If a person is sealed in a divine crystal or the spring of life, they can indeed be preserved for tens of thousands of years without dying. However, in that case, the amount of divine crystals and the spring of life required was extremely large, to an unimaginable extent. On top of that, only martial monarchs or supreme saints were able to do it. Could it be that the sage in front of them was like that? When these words were said, everyone was shocked. Those elders all had terrified expressions on their faces. They had naturally heard of this possibility. That was because in the past, a powerful seeker spirit master had once cut open the stone transported out of the primordium ancient mine. At that time, they cut out such a thing. That stone was very large, dozens of meters tall. In the end, a divine crystal that was more than 10 meters tall was cut out. That divine crystal was incomparably resplendent. However, what was terrifying was that there was actually something sealed in the divine crystal. A monster beast. In the end, it was jointly taken away by the people of several remote antiquity families. Moreover, this matter was quickly suppressed, and only became a legend. However, it was spread among the various sacred grounds. At this moment, when they saw the strange thing in front of them, they naturally recalled the previous legend. However, the people of the Gu family frowned. That shouldn't be. The corpse was clearly not sealed. Although it was soaked in the spring of life, it was completely different from being directly sealed by the spring of life. If it wasn't sealed, it couldn't have survived for tens of thousands of years in the spring of life. Moreover, if it wasn't dead, why would it spend so much effort to build an ancient tomb? Why was that? Everyone was puzzled. Lin Xian, Crimson Dragon, and the others also frowned, but Elder Li's body was trembling slightly. Not only him, but Elder Lu, Elder Wang, and the other two were also feeling the same. Xing Tian also had a look of horror, as if he had seen a ghost. Xing Tian, Elder Li, what did you find? Lin Xian asked in a deep voice. He found that the expressions of these elders were not right. Meanwhile, Elder Li, Xing Tian and the others were staring ahead intently. No way, how could it be? How could it be that thing? Not to mention Lin Xian and the others, Peacock, Hui Dao, and the young martial artists of the Immortal Palace were also puzzled. At this moment, the elders of the surrounding sacred grounds also looked over. Fellow cultivator, what did you find? The elder of the Jade Lake Sacred Ground asked in confusion. This, Elder Li and the others did not say anything. They discussed with each other. Xing Tian sighed. Forget it, we can't hide it. Sooner or later, we will find out. This matter is already beyond our control. Hurry up and call for help. What's going on? As soon as he said that, everyone around was shocked. Lin Xian was even more puzzled. Elder Li took a deep breath. He also knew that this matter could not be hidden, so he said in a deep voice. Chapter 2580. Elder Li took a deep breath. He also knew that this matter could not be hidden, so he spoke in a deep voice. The Yuhua Immortal Robe. What? The Yuhua Immortal Robe? As soon as these words came out, the eyelids of the elders of the Yi family, Yaoguang's sacred land, and Gu family twitched fiercely. Their eyes erupted with an incomparable light, and the aura on their bodies swept through the 9 heavens. In the next moment, they stared intently at the corpse of the saint who was sitting up in front of them. To be precise, it was the clothes on the corpse of the saint. Could it be that this was the legendary Yuhua Immortal Robe? Heavens, it can't be, isn't that a legend? Could it really exist? These elders were stunned. Those young disciples were very puzzled. Elder, what is the Yuhua Immortal Robe? Yes, is it very precious? Is it a saint's treasure? They had never seen their elder so agitated. It should be a saint's treasure. However, the elders of the various sacred lands shook their heads. The Yuhua Immortal Robe had probably surpassed the saint's treasure. It was a supreme treasure between heaven and earth, and it was very magical. Rumor had it that wearing the Yuhua Immortal Robe could bring the dead back to life. One could even live forever. What? Bring the dead back to life. Immortality. At this moment, those young disciples were all stunned. Their breathing became rapid, and their eyes were red. They also stared intently at the figure in front of them. However, Wu Dao, Wu Hua, the Prince of Great Xia, and the others frowned. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Immortality? Bring the dead back to life? How was this possible? Didn't they say that even great emperors couldn't escape death? If they didn't become immortals, they would eventually become a pile of dust? This was also the reason why everyone was so obsessed with becoming an immortal. Because only by becoming an immortal could one have eternal life and immortality. But now, these elders were telling them that a Yuhua immortal robe could allow one to live forever. This directly impacted their understanding. If there was such a treasure, how could it be in the hands of a saint? It must have been taken away by the great emperors. No, the Yuhua immortal robe was very magical. It had not appeared for hundreds of thousands of years, or even longer. It only existed in extremely ancient legends. We even thought that it was impossible for the Yuhua immortal robe to exist. But we didn't expect it to appear again now. Everyone was shocked. However, there were also people who were doubtful. That might not be the case. Perhaps not even Immortal Palace's people could be sure that this was Feather Immortal. That's right. The others were also puzzled. Wasn't this corpse breathing before? We suspect that it was sealed by the divine crystal and the spring of life, and that's why it survived until now. From the looks of it, that might not be the case. This saint might really be dead. However, he wore the Yuhua immortal robe and lived through countless years. What? The dead had come back to life. Everyone felt as if they were listening to a legend. Could it really be the effect of the Yuhua immortal robe? Everyone was shocked. But then again, how could a corpse breathe? If the legend of the Yuhua immortal robe was added, then everything could be explained. Thinking of this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Many people were going crazy. They didn't expect that they would actually encounter the legendary Yuhua immortal robe. This was a blessing accumulated from several lifetimes. The Feather Immortal had disappeared for over 100,000 years. Even some martial monarchs had never seen him before. But now, they actually saw it. Boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out. Then, the void cracked open, and heaven and earth lost their color. Rolling death chi filled the air, and an incomparably terrifying black palm pierced through heaven and earth like a demonic mountain, shattering the void. It shrouded downward. As soon as the black palm appeared, many people directly fell to the ground, and even more people vomited blood and flew out. Their faces were full of horror. The elders and saints of the various sacred grounds also felt their scalps go numb, and they quickly retreated. Lin Xian and the others also retreated rapidly. Elderly instantly summoned the bean soldiers, and countless puppets completely surrounded Lin Xian and the others. Damn it, it's an invincible king! An invincible king has appeared! An old man exclaimed, and with a bang, his body split open and turned into a bloody mist. Seeing this scene, everyone screamed. That was a peerless mighty figure, but he was actually shattered by the aftermath of the energy. One could imagine that it was definitely an extremely heaven-defying energy. In addition to the previous voice, they believed that an invincible king had really appeared. Was it the guardian of the ancient tomb? Everyone immediately thought of this possibility. Because there was a woman in white next to him. However, they soon realized that was not the case. Although this black palm carried a sky full of death chi, it was incomparably terrifying. However, it was not the guardian of the ancient tomb. It was someone from the Chasing Corpse sect. It was the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect who had made a move. The Yuhua immortal robe must belong to the Chasing Corpse sect. The huge palm smashed the surroundings, and countless black auras drooped down. It was like the demonic aura from hell, rolling over. It spread out in all directions, completely sealing the entire space. Damn it! Leaf Daodenir roared, and his golden chi and blood surged into the sky. A golden giant stood indomitable. The immortal king descends to the 9 heavens. This was his terrifying technique, and he wanted to destroy everything in all directions. However, this time, the boundless black aura completely suppressed the immortal king descends to the 9 heavens. Ah! Leaf Daodenir kept retreating, vomiting large mouthfuls of blood. Damn it! Protect Daudenier! The elders of the Yi family roared angrily, and they all surrounded Leaf Daudenier to protect him. Leaf Daudenier was their Yi family's sacred physique, and they absolutely could not allow anything to happen to him. The Yi family's sacred physique was indeed worthy of its reputation. It could actually block a wisp of my aura. A cold voice sounded between heaven and earth. As soon as this voice came out, many people directly exploded. Those who were weak couldn't bear it at all. Even the elders, saints, and saintesses couldn't help but vomit blood. Lin Xian was also affected. He felt the qi and blood in his body churning, and his body seemed to be about to explode. It was terrifying. Was this the power of an invincible king? Lin Xian was shocked. Next to him, the Crimson Dragon and the others were so angry that they roared again and again. Damn it, they actually brought an invincible king here. They were about to go crazy. The huge palm in the sky rumbled in all directions. It was like an ancient demonic mountain, pressing down on everyone until they couldn't breathe. The invincible king didn't reveal his true body. Just a palm was enough to sweep in all directions. He injured Leaf Daudenier with one palm, then stared at the Alcade Holy Sun. Boom! He waved his palm gently, and boundless black aura spread out, turning into a black dragon that rushed towards the Alcade Holy Sun. Not only that, but many black dragons appeared in the sky. In addition to the Alcade Holy Sun, they also rushed towards Lin Xian, the Grand Xia Prince, Wuhua, Murong Qingqing, Xinjingqiu, Yan Ryu, and the others. It could be said that all the top peerless geniuses were attacked by the black dragons. Chapter 2581. Not good. Damn it! Get lost! The saints roared as if they had gone mad. The dragon-patterned cauldron trembled as it grew larger in the sky. It was as if a mountain was crushing the void. On Wuhua's side, a boundless Buddha phantom appeared on his body. It was very mysterious. The Grand Xia Prince's golden sword transformed into a golden dragon that roared in all directions. Yan Ryu's body emitted a green light. Murong Qingqing waved his phoenix wing golden fan and sent out a phoenix phantom. Xinjingqiu shouted as a boundless purple aura spread out from her body. It was very mysterious. It enveloped her completely. Lin Xian's expression was even more serious, as if he was facing a great enemy. He used all his strength to activate the great dragon sword soul, and a terrifying dragon roar sounded between heaven and earth. Then, it turned into a dragon-shaped sword shadow and slashed forward. Pung pung pung. The other saints and saintesses attacked at the same time. Terrifying energy rolled between heaven and earth, causing the void to shatter completely. Pung pung pung. Puff. Figures retreated one after another as they spat out mouthfuls of blood, dyeing the sky red. At this moment, Lin Xian, Yan Ryu, and the others were all injured. There was nothing they could do. Their opponent was an invincible king. Although it was just a light attack from an invincible king, it was not something they could resist. What top geniuses! That was all they could do. You want to climb the path of a great emperor? The invincible king of the chasing corps said in a disdainful voice. The black palm was filled with killing intent. Damn it! You dare to attack us? The elders of the Yi and Gu families were furious. They did not expect the invincible king of the chasing corps sect to be so crazy. He dared to attack all the top geniuses. What was he trying to do? Was he trying to kill all the top geniuses? They did not dare to imagine. The others were also terrified. The saints trembled. If Yu Wudao, the Grand Xia Prince, and the other top geniuses died here, there would be an earth-shattering shock in the outside world. Not to mention the other saints and saintesses, just the death of Yu Wudao would probably cause the Yi family to go crazy. At that time, it was very likely that he would become a living fossil of the Yi clan, and he would wield an extreme weapon to sweep away the chasing corps sect. Just thinking about this scene made one's scalp go numb. After all, once an extreme weapon appeared, it was no longer just the chasing corps sect's problem. That was because its power was simply too terrifying. It could definitely cause endless territories to sink. This was definitely an earth-shattering catastrophe. Therefore, the crowd could not understand why the Chasing Corpse sect was so bold. Humph! If I kill all of you, the news won't spread, the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect said coldly. The light on the black palm became more and more terrifying, and boundless demonic chi spread out. At this moment, everyone coughed up blood once more. Lin Xian, Leaf Dao Denier, and the other elders were all infuriated. However, they couldn't resist at all. However, before the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect could make his move, another shocking change occurred. Up in the air, the blood of Leaf Dao Denier, Yan Ryu, and Murong Qingqing continued to converge. Instead, they turned into streaks of red light and flew toward the sage's corpse. Then, all the blood was absorbed into the sage's corpse. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. Even the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect exclaimed in surprise. In the next moment, a pair of black eyes appeared in the sky, staring coldly at the sage's corpse below. Damn it, what's going on? Why is the corpse sucking blood? He didn't know, but he felt that things might be serious. Buzz. As expected, his guess was right. After the blood of the top geniuses entered the sage's corpse, the sage's tightly shut eyes slowly opened. Streaks of terrifying light swept in all directions, like peerless heavenly sabers that cut through the void. Wherever it passed, nothing could withstand it. Crack! Crack! Terrifying cracks spread out, and everyone frantically retreated. At this moment, all the sacred grounds and clan of the ancients had used their trump cards. Buzz! On the Yi family's side, a golden cauldron floated above them, completely enveloping them. On Lin Xian's side, Elderly took out a decree. In the sky, countless terrifying runes flickered. They weren't the only ones. The Jade Lake Sacred Ground, Xixia Sacred Ground, Wavering Light Sacred Ground, Fei Imperial Palace, Gu Family, and all the other sacred grounds and sects didn't hold back at all. This was because if they didn't use their final trump cards, they might be killed by the pressure. Ah! Terrifying light erupted in the sky, and intense sounds collided. The invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect bore the brunt of the impact. His black palm was impacted by the sage's power, and the sky shook and the earth shook. The black palm kept slapping, shattering the entire sky. However, in the face of the sage's power, he couldn't withstand it at all. In an instant, the black palm was torn apart. In the sky, the pair of black eyes also became blurry and filled with fear. Boom! The void shattered, and a figure appeared in the sky. He was like a demon king, and his aura made people tremble. An invincible king had appeared. That's right, the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect finally couldn't hold back anymore. His true body had appeared. In front of him, there was a pitch-black corpse. It was similar to his, but it was expressionless. This was a zombie that he had refined, and it was also the corpse of an invincible king. It was very terrifying. At this moment, he had used the invincible king zombie to its limit. At the same time, a large black net floated above his head. Hell's demonic net. It was the treasure of the Chasing Corpse sect. Previously, everyone thought that the Hell's demonic net had shattered, but they didn't expect it to be taken away by this invincible king. Now that it was displayed again, it was truly terrifying. After all, the strength of an invincible king was much stronger than that of a peerless almighty. In addition to the Hell's demonic net, two more things appeared beside the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect. One was a black bead that looked like an eye. It was very strange. The other was a black demonic saber that emitted a strong aura of death. Obviously, the invincible king didn't dare to be careless in the face of the sage's corpse. He had to go all out. Whoosh! The others retreated crazily. In a battle of this level, just the aftermath of a wisp of energy was enough to kill them. Fortunately, their elders had already used their shocking trump cards to protect them. Otherwise, no one would have been able to survive. On the Immortal Palace's side, Lin Xian's face was pale. He swallowed a few drops of Earth's spirit liquid, and the bones in his body crackled. Previously, when he was resisting the aura of the invincible king, he was injured. Fortunately, He had many heaven and earth treasures in his hands, so he had already recovered. However, his expression was incomparably solemn. Chapter 2582. The current situation had already exceeded his ability to control and endure. Not to mention him, even these elders would not be able to interfere at all. Sure enough, Elderly didn't attack. He used the top-grade puppet to protect the people of Immortal Palace. The decree above his head floated, and mysterious runes flickered in the sky. "Don't hesitate any more," Xingtian said. Hearing this, Elderly nodded his head. Then, he, Xingtian, Elder Wang, and Elder Lu quickly formed hand seals. The golden decree trembled non-stop as it slowly opened. The golden decree was only half opened. At this moment, it seemed to be fully opened. "Welcome, Great Guardian," Xingtian, Elderly, and the others said respectfully. Their expressions were extremely sincere. Hearing this voice, Lin Xian frowned. Peacock, Hui Dao, and the other martial artists of Immortal Palace trembled, and a look of shock appeared in their eyes. Could it be? Before they could think of anything, the golden decree suddenly shone with golden light and turned into a golden waterfall, spinning in the sky. The golden runes formed a mysterious formation that tore through the void. A figure appeared from the golden light in the sky. This was a man who wore battle armor. He looked extremely valiant and extraordinary. As soon as he appeared, he shattered the void, and his aura swept through the 9 heavens. His aura was no weaker than the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect. An invincible king, another invincible king. After the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect, the invincible king of Immortal Palace also appeared. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. He knew that the person who appeared was the great guardian of Immortal Palace, and his strength was extremely terrifying. However, he didn't expect Xingtian, Elderly, and the others to have such a divine ability and method to let an invincible king descend. If the invincible king of Immortal Palace could descend, then what about the other sacred grounds and sects? Lin Xian looked into the distance again. Sure enough, his guess was right. After the great guardian of Immortal Palace arrived, the Yi family, Gu family, Dao Yi sacred ground, Wavering Light sacred ground, and other sacred grounds all shone brightly. Strange runes flashed in the sky one after another. Then, a majestic aura emerged and tore through the void. That aura belonged to invincible kings. Clearly, invincible kings had arrived. There were more than a dozen invincible kings. At this moment, all of them appeared in the sky together. It was truly a scene that could shatter heaven and earth. Luckily, the invincible kings of the various sacred grounds unleashed their light to protect the crowd below. That was why those people weren't affected. "Before you dared to take action against my Immortal Palace's master?" As soon as the great guardian appeared, he did not immediately look at the saint's corpse. Instead, he stared at the invincible king from the Chasing Corpse sect. A sharp glint appeared in his eyes. Obviously, he wanted to stand up for Lin Xian. It was because Lin Xian was his Immortal Palace's palace master. No matter when, he would always represent their Immortal Palace. However, someone actually wanted to kill Lin Xian? If a saint or saintess of the younger generation were to attack Lin Xian, the great guardian would definitely not care. That was because he knew that Lin Xian had to go through these battles. However, an invincible king who stood at the peak of the continent actually attacked a young junior. This was something he could not tolerate. Sure enough, as soon as he said this, Lin Xian revealed a cold smile. The people of Immortal Palace also became excited. They knew that the great guardian had come to avenge them. After the great guardian of Immortal Palace, the invincible king of the Yi family also shouted coldly. Endless golden light erupted from his body, sweeping through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. A terrifying golden saint aura suddenly erupted. The invincible king of the Gu family, the Jade Pool, and the Dao One sacred ground, powerful figures, like divine arrows, pierced through the void and stared at the invincible king of the Chasing Corpse sect. The martial artists of the Chasing Corpse sect felt their scalps go numb, and their faces turned green. They did not expect that these sacred grounds could summon invincible kings, and more than a dozen of them appeared at once. Previously they were smug, thinking that only their chasing corpse sect could summon invincible kings. This way, they could capture all the peerless geniuses in one fell swoop. The sacred grounds would suffer heavy losses. Moreover, they could push all the blame onto the saint's corpse. They could say that it was the saint's corpse that killed them. This way, they could do it without anyone noticing. However, they did not expect that before the invincible king on their side made a move, the invincible king of the other sacred grounds would descend. Moreover, everyone pointed their spears at them. They felt as if they were facing a great enemy. Their hearts turned cold, and their faces were filled with despair. Because they only had one invincible king. No matter how strong he was, how could he defeat more than a dozen of them? If these dozen invincible kings attacked together, their chasing corpse sect would definitely not survive. Humph! The great guardian of Immortal Palace took the lead. He held a red spear in his hand and stabbed out. Lightning filled the sky. Boundless divine lightning pierced through the void and charged toward the invincible king of the chasing corpse sect. The invincible king of the chasing corpse sect roared and waved his black demonic saber to resist. However, at this time, the invincible kings of the Yi family, Gu family, Saber and Tent Sacred Ground, and the heavens all attacked. More than a dozen invincible kings attacked together, blasting the void. No matter how powerful the invincible king of the chasing corpse sect was, he could not do it. Therefore, in just an instant, the invincible king of the chasing corpse sect vomited blood and was sent flying. The invincible king level zombie in front of him was torn apart, unable to resist at all. Ah! Damn it, just you wait! The invincible king of the chasing corpse sect roared. He waved his hand and led all the people of the chasing corpse sect to escape into the distance. You still want to escape? Stay here! The great guardian snorted and stabbed out with his spear. Buzz! In the sky, a red spear descended from the sky. It was like a divine red color, directly piercing through the invincible king of the chasing corpse sect. Puff! Blood sprayed out, dyeing the void red. Boom! Boom! The invincible king of the Yi family waved his fist. Golden light flashed in the sky, illuminating everyone so much that they could not open their eyes. The lower half of the invincible king of the chasing corpse sect was instantly shattered, turning into a bloody mist. Otherwise, black holes would have appeared around him. A terrifying chaotic aura and world-destroying light would have appeared. In short, this invincible king of the chasing corpse sect was severely injured. He only had a head left. He was also on the verge of death. It was covered in cracks and would shatter at any time. The martial artists of the chasing corpse sect below him were even more miserable. A large number of martial artists turned into a bloody mist, and less than 1% of them were still alive. Ah! With a roar, the shattered head of the invincible king escaped into the void with the remaining martial artists of the chasing corpse sect. An invincible king was seriously injured and fled just like that. Moreover, he was almost killed. In the surroundings, Lin Xian and the others were shocked. Yi Wudao, Wuhua, and the others gasped. Chapter 2583. Too strong. These invincible kings were simply too strong. Every strike made them shudder with fear. They all carried boundless power. Lin Xian also clenched his fists, and his eyes erupted with a fiery light. Invincible king, he must become an invincible king! Only then could he stand at the peak of the continent. In the sky, more than a dozen invincible kings retracted their gazes from the distance, and looked down again. When they saw the corpse of the saint with his eyes open, they all frowned. Shock, extreme shock. Even though these people were invincible kings and were powerful, they still felt a sense of fear from the bottom of their hearts when facing a saint. It couldn't be helped. Saints had a natural suppression on kings like them. Even if they became invincible kings, they were still kings, not saints. If they didn't surpass kings and enter the saint realm, they would never be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with saints. But now, it was different. The reason for that was because that sage was not alive. Instead, he was a corpse. Although his eyes were open and he was breathing, he was still much weaker than a real living saint. The Yuhua immortal robe was indeed real. The eyes of the invincible kings of the Yi family were like two suns, blooming with light. The great guardian of the immortal palace had a solemn expression. The other's eyes also flickered, not daring to be careless. Blood! At this moment, a low and hoarse voice sounded. Hearing this voice, everyone's souls trembled. In the sky, more than a dozen invincible kings' pupils constricted. They stared down. That voice was actually from the saint's corpse. Damn it, did this saint's corpse really come back to life? Lin Xian and the others were even more shocked. They retreated again. That was because the scene before them was simply too bizarre. It was beyond their understanding. Let's do it. The great guardian took a deep breath. Okay. The Yi family, the Gu family, and the other invincible kings all nodded. In the next moment, they quickly attacked. A long spear pierced through the void, and a golden fist was like a sun. Terrifying spatial cracks spread. At this moment, more than a dozen invincible kings didn't hold back at all. Boom! In the energy storm that filled the sky, wisps of saint power directly broke through heaven and earth, shattering all the energy. More than a dozen invincible kings were forced back. What? He was actually so powerful. Lin Xian, Leaf Dao Denier, and the others were shocked. It was only a sliver of sage might, but it was enough to cut through the attacks of the invincible kings. A saint is too terrifying. Beside him, Xing Tian, elderly, and the others wore solemn expressions. It couldn't be helped. Saints had transcended the heavens and earth. They were extremely terrifying, far surpassing our imaginations. This was just a wisp of sage's aura. If it was a living sage, the Tao pattern law would be earth-shattering. It was estimated that the dozen or so invincible kings in the sky would not even be able to withstand a single blow. What? The Tao pattern laws were actually so powerful. Hearing this, Lin Xian and the others sucked in a breath of cold air, their faces full of shock. In the sky, more than a dozen invincible kings snorted coldly. A dead saint was not invincible. They also quickly used their trump cards. Some people even took out broken sage magic treasures. Lin Xian knew how terrifying the power of a saint's fragment was. Furthermore, he did not dare to completely tear open the seal. However, these invincible kings were extremely powerful. They could tear open the seal far more than Lin Xian could. Thus, they charged over once again. The sage's corpse was still sitting there. He could not move, only his eyes could move. However, this was already terrifying. Just his gaze alone blocked the attacks of more than a dozen invincible kings. For a moment, both sides fought until the heavens fell and the earth cracked. Boom! 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 Suddenly, strange runes appeared in the sky one after another. They were extremely terrifying, enveloping Leaf Dao Denier, the Grand Xia Prince, and the others. Not good! Seeing this, the elders of the Grand Xia dynasty and the Gu clan screamed. Leaf Dao Denier and the others were even more shocked. In an instant they felt as if their blood was being sucked dry. Damn it, these runes were sucking their blood. What was going on? A sage! A sage had attacked. An elder screamed. He had long since realized that something was wrong. These runes were absorbing the power of the top bloodline. Don't let him succeed. Otherwise, it was very likely that he would really come back to life. Everyone's expression changed when they heard this. Actually, it was normal. From the very beginning, they had seen all sorts of strange things. Later on, the Bloodwing Bat King attacked the geniuses with the top bloodlines. All of this indicated that the entire ancient tomb seemed to be searching for the most powerful bloodlines. As for what it was for, they did not know at the time. Now, it seemed very likely that it was for the revival of the sage. At this thought, their scalps went numb. Those with the top bloodlines turned pale. If they had known this would happen, they would not have entered even if they were beaten to death. But now, it was too late. In the face of the incomparably mysterious Tao pattern, they simply did not have any power to resist. Lin Xian was fine. He did not have the power of a bloodline. He only had the dragon sword soul, so he was not enveloped by the runes for a while. However, he did not dare to be careless. After all, Murong Qingqing and Xinjingqiu were still enveloped. He had to think of a way to save them. He wanted to use the black earthen. During this period of time, he had obtained a large number of natural treasures in the tomb. He could already use the black earthen again. He wanted to use the black earthen to save Murong Qingqing and Xinjingqiu. Then, he would leave this place. Who cared about the sage's corpse? It had nothing to do with him anymore. However, before Lin Xian could make a move, a roar came from afar. At first, the sound was very faint. It was obvious that it came from very far away. However, in the blink of an eye, it turned into boundless thunder and surged forth. Suddenly, the space where Lin Xian and the others were was shattered. Damn it, what happened? Lin Xian, Yu Wudao, and the others were shocked. In the sky, the dozen or so invincible kings retreated. Their faces were solemn. Crack! The void cracked, and a blue light appeared, forming a huge coffin that floated in the sky. The elders felt their scalps go numb when they saw the coffin. Damn it, it's the Big Dipper coffin. Isn't this the first coffin? Why is it here? The elders had gone crazy. When the Big Dipper coffin appeared, they had told the younger generation to evacuate. As for the elders, they were working together to kill him. In the end, they had suppressed a few coffins. Among them, the first coffin was the most mysterious and the most terrifying. However, nothing strange happened. When they left completely, the first coffin did not open. The elders heaved a sigh of relief. But they did not expect that the first coffin would appear here. Moreover, it emitted such terrifying sound waves. Could it be that the sage's corpse had summoned it? Chapter 2584. Could it be that the corpse of the sage had summoned it? Everyone's expression turned ugly. The corpse of a sage was already so terrifying. If he were to summon another powerful guardian, those invincible kings would probably be defeated. However, to everyone's surprise, the first coffin of the Big Dipper didn't attack the invincible kings or Lin Xian and the others. It was the corpse of the sage. A blue lightning bolt shot out from the coffin and struck down. Its target was the corpse of the sage. Everyone was taken aback by this scene. What's going on? Shouldn't the first coffin of the Big Dipper be the guardian of the tomb? Why would it attack the corpse of the sage? This made them all dumbfounded. Lin Xian and the others were also very surprised. The corpse of the sage raised its head, and two beams of divine light shot out from its eyes, shattering the lightning bolt. Clang! Otherwise, the two beams of light hit the blue light curtain, causing a monstrous tremor. The coffin trembled from the impact, and shattered into pieces in an instant. The surrounding void also collapsed in an instant. A blood-colored figure rushed out from the blue light curtain. Everyone's scalp went numb when they saw that. The blood-colored figure was a corpse. However, the skin on it was gone, and only flesh and blood were exposed. It was a blur. The blood dripped down and directly pierced through the void. One could imagine that this person must have been a very terrifying existence when he was alive. However, everyone still underestimated the blood-colored corpse. That was because the expressions of the dozen or so invincible kings in the sky instantly changed. Damn it, it's the blood of a sage! A drop of blood crushed the surroundings and made them tremble. Only the blood of a sage could cause such a terrifying scene. They didn't expect that the corpse in the coffin was also the corpse of a sage. Damn it, there were two sages in this ancient tomb? To be honest, they were all dumbfounded. Because they never thought that this would be the result. If they used all their trump cards, they might be able to fight against the corpse of a sage. But now, they couldn't fight against the corpses of two sages. Although these sages were all dead, their sage power and blood were not something that they could resist. For a moment, the invincible king's expressions became extremely ugly. The eyelids of Lin Xian and the others were also twitching. They didn't understand what was going on. The experts from the Demon Imperial Palace screamed. This was demonic blood. The saint's blood contained a strong demonic aura. This was a demon saint. That's right, it was indeed a demon saint. Yen Ruyu and Huatiandu also had ice-cold expressions. They also felt the aura of the demon clan. The others' expressions changed. What was going on? How could it be a demon clan saint? Could it be that one of them was a human ancient sage while the other was a demonic beast ancient sage? Why are these two saints together? Roar! Just as everyone was puzzled, the blood-colored sage above launched another attack. He charged towards the saint's corpse below, and a huge blood-red hand appeared, covering the entire sky. Could it be that his target was also the Yuhua immortal robe? Everyone was shocked. This must be the case. This demon saint also wanted to snatch the Yuhua immortal robe? Ka ka ka! Below, the saints of the human race dealt with it calmly. The armor on his face made cracking sounds and retreated to both sides, revealing a face. When they saw that face, everyone exclaimed. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. Because this face was very familiar to him. It was a woman's face. It was as pale as paper and very beautiful. However, everyone realized that they seemed to have seen this face before. Damn it, it was that woman in white. Lin Xian was extremely shocked. He had taken the bronze key from the mouth of the woman in white before. How could he forget this face? But why did the saint's corpse look exactly the same as that woman in white? Could it be that the two of them were originally the same person? At the side, the Crimson Dragon also said. Thinking about it, that woman in white should be a clone of this corpse. Sending his clone to guard his ancient tomb should be the safest way. That could only be the reason. Everyone nodded, but they still couldn't understand why there were two saints. However, this was no longer important. Because the two of them had already started fighting. Although both of them were corpses, they directly tore the entire sky apart as soon as they fought. Large cracks also appeared on the surrounding ancient tomb. It couldn't be helped. Just because the invincible kings couldn't break the ancient tomb didn't mean that the saints couldn't. As expected, the two of them had only exchanged 10 moves when the sky shattered, and the light from outside shone in. Run! Seeing this scene, the invincible kings roared angrily. They also activated the saint artifact fragments in their hands and joined the battle. In an instant, the battle became even more intense. The destruction of the saint's ancient tomb became more and more severe. Countless cracks spread in all directions, directly tearing the ancient tomb into pieces. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian and the others didn't dare to delay. They turned into a long rainbow and flew out. It was too dangerous inside. They had to leave. When the saints fought, it was estimated that millions of miles would sink directly. Even millions of miles wouldn't be safe. They had to retreat quickly. Buzz! At this moment, the powerhouses of the various sacred grounds used their trump cards and quickly left. Boom, boom, boom! After they left, the saints of the human race rode the purple coffin and soared into the sky as well. The blood-colored sacred beast chased after them. More than a dozen invincible kings also followed with treasures in their hands. They also left the ancient tomb. After leaving the ancient tomb, without the suppression of the ancient tomb's laws, the energy instantly attacked the area within a radius of 5 million miles. Immediately, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The surrounding creatures were in a terrible situation. Screams sounded one after another. Lin Xian and the others even activated the Black Demon ship and quickly retreated with all the Immortal Palace's martial artists. The Yi family, the Gu family, and all the sacred grounds sects did the same. They retreated 5 million miles away and didn't stop. They didn't stop until they were 10 million miles away. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. I wonder how the battle is going? Someone said with a fearful expression. It would definitely be very intense. They just didn't know who would win in the end. Let's wait and see. These people already felt safe after retreating to this point. Therefore, they wanted to wait and see how the battle was going. However, not long after, a roar sounded in the distance. Then, a ray of light pierced through heaven and earth. Even though they were 10 million miles away, everyone could still see it. Another invincible king had made his move. Moreover, it was an extremely powerful invincible king. Xingtian, elderly, and the others exclaimed. The people of the Yi family were also extremely shocked. This should be someone from the great Xia dynasty, right? After all, this territory was within the great Xia dynasty. Sure enough, after this ray of light, a few more terrifying rays of light pierced through heaven and earth. Figures that looked like gods and demons appeared. They were all invincible kings of the great Xia dynasty. Chapter 2585. Not only the great Xia dynasty, but the news was also spread by the various sacred grounds. In an instant, the experts of the surrounding dynasties all rushed over. Even the experts of the eastern wilderness, western desert, northern plains, and southern border opened their gates and directly descended. This time, not only did they come alone, but they also brought shocking treasures and terrifying trump cards. Because this matter concerned the Yuhua immortal robe, they had to be serious. In fact, many supreme elders and living fossil elders had also come. Some sect masters even came personally. This was a huge shock that spread across the 5 continents of the true spirit world. It was something that Lin Xian had never imagined before. He didn't expect that the ancient tomb of a saint would have such a huge impact. On the Immortal Palace's side, Elderly and the others also informed the other guardians. Xingtian even took out a secret scroll to inform Xia Jiuyo. With such a big thing happening, they had to inform Xia Jiuyo. Only with the old palace master personally taking action would there be a guarantee. In the sky, jade gates opened one after another, and powerful figures descended, chasing after the corpse of the human race's saint. Their goal was the Yuhua immortal robe. Of course, there were also people who were very interested in the 2 saint corpses. After all, saints were full of secrets. If they could obtain it and study it, it would be of great help to their strength. These people had already reached the peak of the king realm, and they were just 1 step away from the saint realm. But this step had trapped them for thousands of years. Now that there was such an opportunity, how could they let it go? In an instant, a great battle broke out. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Everything within tens of millions of miles was affected. Wherever it passed, not a single blade of grass grew. It was too terrifying. Lin Xian and the others were shocked when they saw this scene. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Lin Xian's side wasn't peaceful either. Powerful figures descended one after another, and a terrifying killing intent filled the surroundings. Among them, there were people from the 5 Elements Palace, the 9 Firmaments Sacred Emperor, the Myriad Thunders Sacred Ground, and the Tai Dynasty. There were also people from the Yin-Yang sect. As soon as they appeared, they surrounded Lin Xian. Terrifying killing intent swept out in all directions. Elder! Great! Elder, hurry up and kill him! He killed our holy son! The people of 5 Elements Palace, Myriad Lightning's Sacred Ground, and 9 Heavens' Sacred Ground roared madly. Previously, when they sent a message to the invincible kings, they also sent a message to their holy land. Therefore, the Holy Land had sent many experts to kill Lin Xian. How dare you kill the 5 Elements Saint? Kneel down and accept your death. No one in this world can save you. The expert from the 10,000 Thunder Holy Land said coldly. I won't kill you so easily. I'll torture you for 7,790 years and let you know the feeling of living a life worse than death. The experts of the 9 Firmaments, Holy Emperor, were like death gods. It was the same for the Yin-Yang sect and the Tai Dynasty. An old man from the Yin-Yang sect made the first move. He looked down at Lin Xian from above, wanting to kill him with a palm strike. Fellow Taoist Yin-Yang, you're not being kind. You should have left this brat to us. The people from the 5 Elements Palace sneered. The people of the Tai Dynasty also said, Don't kill him. Capture him first, and we'll torture him. Humph! Lin Xian waved his hand and the Bloodwing Bat King appeared in front of him, shattering the huge palm. What was that thing? How could it be so powerful? Seeing the new blood-red monster, the experts who had just arrived were shocked. It was a puppet, the guardian of the saint's ancient tomb. It was controlled by the brat. At the back, the disciples of the 5 Elements Palace and the Tai dynasty quickly explained. The guardian of the ancient tomb was so powerful? Many powerful elders' eyes lit up. It was really a treasure. How could such a treasure be in the hands of a piece of trash? Hand it over obediently. These people were very greedy. They stared at the blood-winged Bat King. They knew that the things in the tomb, even if it was a pile of dirt, had endless magical uses. They regretted not entering the ancient tomb before. But now, the brat had brought out such a powerful guardian. How could they not be tempted? Elder, not only does this brat have a guardian, but he also has the Dark Knight Immortal Medal and the Flower Protector. He also has all kinds of natural treasures. At the back, those disciples roared crazily. Hearing these treasures, the eyes of the surrounding elders turned red. They looked at Lin Xian. Brat, what do you have to be able to get so many treasures? Hand it over obediently, or I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. Humph! You want to take my treasure? Do you have the life to take it? Lin Xian looked around and said coldly. These bastards really deserve to die. They actually secretly called so many experts to surround and kill him? He remembered these holy lands. In the future, he would never let these people go. Xingtian, elderly, and the others on the side also stood out. You want to attack our palace, master? You have to ask if we agree first. Your immortal palace is powerful, but can you resist the joint attack of so many of us? An expert from the Thousand Thunder Holy Land also stood out. Lightning surrounded his body like a thunder god, looking down on the people of Immortal Palace. Humph, I killed the saint child. Why? You want revenge? Then make your move. Lin Xian sneered. Damn it, too hateful. Kill him. You must kill him. The cultivators of the Thousand Thunder Holy Land were mad with anger. Now that so many of them had surrounded him, he still dared to be arrogant in front of them. They couldn't bear it. Sure enough, the Thousand Thunder Holy Land experts' face darkened. No one dares to attack our Thousand Thunder Holy Land, and it's even more impossible for someone to kill our saint child and live. Therefore, you should obediently kneel down and accept your death. The Thousand Thunder Holy Land expert said coldly. You alone? You don't have the qualifications. Let your palace master come. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Reckless brat. In the sky, the experts shouted coldly. In an instant, more than a dozen giant hands reached out and pressed down on Lin Xian. Courting death, do you think we don't exist? Xingtian, elderly, and the others were enraged. They also launched a counterattack. At the same time, Elderly summoned the top puppets, the decree above his head, and the terrifying pagoda floating up and down. These people also activated their powerful trump cards to resist. Lin Xian, Peacock, Hui Dao, and the others also launched a counterattack. The Crimson Dragon roared, and the dragon's roar shook the 9 heavens. In the fierce confrontation, more than a dozen giant hands were blocked. One had to admit that Xingtian, elderly, and the others were too strong. Moreover, they had the top puppets and decrees. Therefore, although they were fewer in number, they resisted. This scene shocked everyone. No way, this immortal palace is so powerful? The people from the other holy lands exclaimed. Wuhua, Yi Wudao, and the others also looked serious. Kid, do you think these people can defeat you? At this time, several figures appeared in front of Lin Xian. Chapter 2586. These people looked young, but they were estimated to be 800 or 900 years old. They were very powerful, and some of them were saints and saintesses of the previous generation. Reckless kid, you killed our saint, and you want to get away unscathed? What a joke! His voice was like thunder, throbbing and shaking everyone's ears. Was he also an elite from the Thousand Thunder Sacred Ground? Today will be the day of your death. An elite from the 5 Elements Palace, surrounded by the power of the 5 elements, was so powerful that it made people tremble. You want to kill me with just you? You're too weak. Lin Xian snorted, and a terrifying sword chi surged from his body. Kid, you're courting death. The elites from the 9 heavens sacred ground also rushed forward. Their saint had been killed, and they could not accept it. Only by killing the kid in front of them could they vent the hatred in their hearts. Although they were not elders, they were still powerful kings. Killing the kid in front of them would be a piece of cake. They attacked wildly, but the result was beyond their expectations. Soon, someone screamed as his body was cut in half by the sword. Damn it, how could he be so powerful? These people roared crazily because they realized that the opponent's strength had surpassed the average saint's. Why, are you surprised? What will surprise you is yet to come, Lin Xian sneered. With a wave of his hand, he took out the flower protector and tore open a corner of the seal. Then, a terrifying demonic sound whistled out. Clang! Clang! Boom! Boom! Two of the elite's bodies exploded, turning into a bloody mist. One of them was blasted to the point where only his head was left, and he fled into the distance. Boom! Before he could run far, he was smashed by the Crimson Dragon's claw. Want to kill us? Let's see if you have the right. Seeing this scene, everyone gasped in shock. The people from the Five Elements Palace and Taiyi Dynasty gritted their teeth. They did not expect the other party to be able to resist. As for the newcomers, their faces were full of shock. The other party was simply too powerful, exceeding their expectations. You've gone too far. Do you really think that the Five Elements Palace has no elites? At this moment, a cold voice was heard. Then, the terrifying power of the fifth form turned into a ray of light and slashed towards Lin Xian. Sensing this change, Lin Xian's expression instantly changed. His pupils shrank. One! Lin Xian didn't dare delay and instantly entered the black earth. With a loud clang, the pentastarlight blade collided with the black earth, producing an earth-shattering sound. Soon after, the black earth was sent flying, smashing through the void and only stopping after a long distance. Palace Master! Young Master! In the distance, Xingtian, elderly, and the others cried out in alarm. The Crimson Dragon also screamed. Brat, are you all right? The others were all alarmed. An unmatched king-level expert, another unmatched king-level expert was taking action. They're going crazy. Who would have thought that an invincible king would descend and attack Lin Xian directly? This brat was dead meat. That's right, no matter how powerful he was, he couldn't block the attack of an invincible king tier. One discussion after another sounded. In the distance, Yi Wudao, Murong Qingqing, Xinjingqiu, and the others were extremely nervous. The elders would save him. Save big brother Lin Xian. Murong Qingqing and Xinjingqiu urged the peerless experts on their side. In the sky, the terrifying light of the five elements disappeared, and the cracks in the sky gradually healed. Everyone looked into the distance. That brat is gone, right? He must have been beaten into a bloody mist. Many people were discussing. Those from the Five Elements Palace sneered. Great, their invincible king had finally made his move. Let's see how that brat dies. However, the invincible king of the Five Elements Palace didn't relax. He even frowned. Because he saw a black spirit ship in front of him. The light just now had blasted onto the spirit ship. It's actually fine? The invincible king frowned. The others also noticed the scene. Heavens, what is this spirit ship? How can it withstand the attack of an invincible king? Did that brat get in? He's really lucky. They didn't expect him to have such a trump card. Everyone discussed animatedly. Murong Qingqing and Xinjingqiu also heaved a sigh of relief. Humph. It's just a spirit ship. Do you really think I can't break it? The elder of the Five Elements Palace sneered and slapped out with his Five Elements palm. This time, he didn't hold back. The power of an invincible king instantly surged out. Clang! Boom! Boom! Terrifying energy blasted out in all directions, and the black earth was annihilated once again. This time, that brat should be dead, right? That's for sure. Don't doubt the power of an invincible king. That's right, an invincible king wouldn't fail twice. The surrounding people discussed animatedly. However, when the light that filled the sky disappeared, they were dumbfounded. Their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Even the invincible king of the Five Elements Palace frowned. Nothing happened? The black spirit boat continued to float in the sky, and there wasn't even a single crack on it. Heavens, what exactly is that thing? Why is it so terrifying? Could it be that it belongs to a saint? It can't be, right? How could that brat have such a powerful treasure? That's impossible. Even if it doesn't belong to a saint, it's still an extremely valuable treasure. Otherwise, it wouldn't be able to withstand such a terrifying attack from an invincible king. Everyone was too shocked. They didn't expect that the other party would have such a treasure. Inside the black earth, Lin Xian was also gnashing his teeth in anger. Shameless, truly too shameless. An invincible king who had lived for thousands of years actually attacked him. How shameless! Damn you, one day, I'll make you pay the price. Lin Xian gnashed his teeth. The Crimson Dragon outside stomped his feet and cursed loudly. F***ck. How shameless! Have you been living like a dog for the past thousands of years? How dare you attack a junior? Where's the face of the Five Elements Palace? That's right. Shameless Five Elements Palace. Shameless invincible king. The warriors of the Immortal Palace also roared angrily. They were too angry. The Crimson Dragon sneered again. It doesn't matter if you're shameless, but don't get slapped in the face. A dignified invincible king can't even break a spirit boat. What a joke. Noisy, where did this snake come from? Go to hell. The invincible king was furious. He slapped out again and teleported. Whoosh! The Crimson Dragon instantly disappeared. He directly opened the black jade platform and teleported out. When he reappeared, he had already returned to the black earth. Damn it, you actually want to kill Ben Wang? Can you do it? He had long established a formation on his body and the black earth. With a thought, he would immediately teleport over. That was why he was not afraid of the invincible king. Damn it, kid, kill him! Hurry up and kill him! I can't hold it in any longer. Use the heavenly treasure to kill him. The Crimson Dragon gritted his teeth. Lin Xian's face was also cold, but soon, he raised a cold smile. Kill him? No, that's not necessary. Sometimes, living is worse than death. Kid, what do you mean? The Crimson Dragon was stunned, but when he saw Lin Xian's eyes, he breathed a sigh of relief. Why do I feel that you have a good idea? Chapter 2587. That's for sure. Just wait and see. Lin Xian sneered. In the next moment, his cold voice sounded. Does it feel good to bully the young? Kid, you can't blame me for this. Blame yourself for being too weak. How dare you provoke the Five Elements Palace? That's the biggest mistake you've ever made. I'm weak? I'm an ant? Humph, if I'm an ant, then what about your Five Elements saint after I killed him? Trash among the ants? So, the holy son of your palace is actually this kind of trash. As soon as he said that, the warriors of the Immortal Palace all laughed. Even Murong Qingqing and Xinjingqiu couldn't help but laugh in the distance. This kid is too talkative. The surrounding people were shocked, and some of them gritted their teeth. Humph, what's so great about that? No matter what he said, he was no match for an invincible king. If an invincible king wanted to kill him, it would be too easy. If a saint didn't appear, an invincible king would be the peak existence. Even the current saints and saintesses couldn't defeat them. It couldn't be helped because they were too young. One had to know that these invincible kings were all saints and saintesses a few thousand years ago. However, after 1,000 or 2,000 years, they finally grew into invincible kings. Bang! The invincible king of the Five Elements Palace attacked again. It was another terrifying punch. It blasted towards the black earth, sending it flying again. Inside the black earth, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon's blood was also boiling. The two of them almost spat out a mouthful of blood. What the f***ck, this guy is really too much of a bully. The Crimson Dragon was so angry that he stomped his feet. Lin Xian's expression was also cold. Kid, aren't you very capable? Why are you hiding in the spirit boat? Come out, I can kill you with one slap. Outside, the invincible king's voice was cold. The disciples of the Five Elements Palace also sneered. Damn kid, come out. That's right, aren't you very arrogant? Where's the momentum you had when you killed our saint? Trash, you're dead meat. Shouts and cries could be heard. Lin Xian sneered. Is that so? You're looking forward to me making a move, aren't you? Then, as you wish. Having said that, Lin Xian didn't hesitate at all. He took out the treasures he obtained from the tomb and gave them to Hey Tuesday. Black Earth poured them into the formation. The formation operated and converted these natural treasures into energy for the Black Earth battleship. Hey 2, don't attack that invincible king. Target the ordinary disciples of the Five Elements Palace and attack them fiercely. Didn't he like to look down on others and bully the weak? Didn't he like to flaunt his seniority? I'll let him have a taste of what it means to fight the weak with the strong. Lin Xian gritted his teeth, and the Crimson Dragon's eyes lit up. Brat, this plan of yours is pretty good. Indeed, using the Black Earth to bombard an invincible king might not be able to deal much damage to the invincible king. However, if he were to attack those ordinary disciples, it would be a different story. Boom! The Black Earth launched an attack. A black beam of light flew out like a black demonic spear, piercing through the void. The light was fast and sudden, and it hit the disciples of the Five Elements Palace in an instant. An intense light burst out, and a black ball swept in all directions, enveloping the disciples of the Five Elements Palace. Pung pung pung! Ah! Miserable cries rang out as bones and blood splattered everywhere. The martial artists of the Five Elements Palace had no time to resist. They exploded into a bloody mist. Damn it! Run quickly! The surrounding martial artists also screamed crazily. They fled in all directions, but they couldn't escape at all. This attack was simply too terrifying. Therefore, in addition to the Five Elements Palace, the martial artists of the Myriad Thunder Sacred Ground and Nine Heavens Sacred Ground were also affected. Quite a number of people were killed by the energy waves. Ah! Damn brat, I'm going to kill you! In the sky, the invincible king of the Five Elements Palace was completely enraged. His black hair fluttered in the wind, and his body emitted a terrifying aura. At the same time, he formed a light shadow that enveloped the remaining people of the Five Elements Palace. His lungs were about to explode from anger. Lin Xian sneered. Why? Don't you like the feeling of beating the weak? Now, this feeling is being used on you. Does it feel good? You, die. The invincible king's expression was distorted, and the people around him felt their scalps go numb as they retreated. Inside the Black Earth, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon smiled when they saw this scene. Hee, the other party was finally angry. Great, he wanted to make the other party angry. So what? Even if the other party was an invincible king, they weren't afraid. With the Black Earth, the other party couldn't break in. What they wanted was the other party to go crazy and worry about not being able to kill them. Ah! In the sky, the invincible king of the Five Elements Palace roared and attacked crazily. The energy wave completely annihilated the Black Earth. However, the final result left him dumbfounded. Because the Black Earth wasn't damaged at all, and there wasn't even a crack. This scene caused everyone to be extremely shocked. Fellow Taoists, let me help you. This should be a very special ancient treasure. It's a waste in this kid's hands. Take it and make it my spirit ship. In the sky, a few more powerful figures descended. Buzz! After the invincible king of the Five Elements Palace appeared, the invincible king of the Thousand Lightnings Sage also appeared. The Nine Firmament Divine Emperor also came. The Yin-Yang sect also sent one. The four invincible kings stood in the sky, completely blocking the space where Lin Xian was. The entire sky was completely shattered. If Lin Xian wasn't in the Black Earth, his body would have been torn apart by now. Even in the Black Earth, it was still fiercely attacked and kept rolling in the sky. However, the Black Earth was left behind by the previous generation's successor of the Great Dragon's Sword, so it could definitely resist the attacks of the invincible kings. However, Lin Xian's current situation was really bad. With so many invincible kings targeting him, if the Black Earth ran out of energy, it would be troublesome. The others naturally saw this scene. Immortal Palace, Elderly, Xingtian, and the others were gritting their teeth in anger. Bang! Bang! Lin Xian threw in a large number of divine crystals, and the Black Earth blasted out a few more black rays of light. Immediately, the ordinary disciples of the Thousand Lightnings Sacred Ground, Yin-Yang sect, and 9 Firmament Divine Emperor screamed. A large number of martial artists were killed directly. Seeing this scene, the faces of the 4 invincible kings in the sky turned green. They had displayed such powerful strength, but the other party was still able to fight back. He could even kill their disciples? This was unbearable. Everyone, don't waste any more time. Let's work together. We must take down this kid. The aura of the 4 of them continued to rise, and they even took out their weapons. The space within a radius of millions of miles froze, and no one dared to stay here. Go to hell, brat. They were really crazy. The other party had killed so many of their disciples, and there was no escape. Chapter 2588. Boom! Pung! A world-shaking explosion of energy. Terrifying palms covered the sky and covered the sun. They pressed down, wanting to destroy everything. However, an even more terrifying power came from the void, directly shattering the 4 invincible palms. At the same time, an ice-cold voice sounded. Who dares to attack my immortal palace's master? Kill without mercy! The ice-cold voice carried terrifying killing intent, engulfing the 9 heavens. The air within millions of li shattered once again. What? Did reinforcements arrive again? Unparalleled experts had arrived. When the warriors in the distance saw this scene, they were extremely shocked. In the sky, the 4 invincible kings also frowned. They looked at the black vortex in front of them. Who was it? Get out here! The black vortex slowly disappeared, and an old man appeared in the void. He had white hair and a ruddy complexion. He wore a blue Taoist robe that had been washed until it was white. However, no one dared to look down on him. Although the Taoist robe didn't release light, it emitted an extremely terrifying aura. Extremely mysterious runes circulated on it. This was a treasure. It's me. An ice-cold voice sounded from the old man's mouth. I am Immortal Palace's second protector. What? Second protector? Immortal Palace's protector came again? In the distance, those people sucked in a breath of cold air. The 4 invincible kings in the sky also frowned. However, soon, he revealed a trace of a sneer. A mere invincible king wants to contend against the 4 of us. Aren't you a bit too confident? Humph, what if I'm included? Another ice-cold voice sounded. Immediately after, a figure stood out behind the second protector. Another invincible king! Everyone cried out in shock, but this wasn't the end. After the second one, a third one, and a fourth one also quickly appeared. The second protector's lips curled into a sneer. Did I say that I came alone? In the end, the 5 protectors all descended, crushing a region of the sky. 5 Elements Palace and the other 4 invincible kings' expressions became incomparably ugly. 5 invincible kings, 1 more than their side. How were they supposed to fight? You like to bully with numbers. Now I'll let you have a taste of what it means to bully with numbers. The second protector roared angrily. Then, the 5 invincible kings charged over. A great collision occurred between heaven and earth. 9 invincible kings were fighting in the air. It was extremely terrifying. Lin Xian instantly controlled the Black Earth to fly backwards. The others retreated as well. Right now, there was no place for anyone to stay within a radius of 20 million li. Therefore, the invincible kings quickly sent messages to their saints and saintesses to bring their disciples back. Because it was too dangerous now. After the incident with Lin Xian, they were extremely careful. If an enemy sacred ground sent invincible kings to kill their saints and saintesses, they probably wouldn't be able to escape. After receiving the news, the Chosens also hurriedly opened the teleportation gate. Now that things had developed to this point, it had already exceeded their imagination. Now, even the weakest ones were invincible kings taking action. There were even saint corpses fighting. Terrifying energy erupted between heaven and earth. Most of it was the power of saint fragments. Although the holy sons and holy daughters were also young geniuses, they could not interfere at all. Not to mention them, even those elders were unable to interfere. It was very dangerous for them to stay here. They might as well leave as soon as possible. One figure after another quickly retreated. Brother Lin, we're leaving. We'll meet again if fate wills it. Wu Hua, Yi Wudao, and the others bid farewell. Lin Xian also waved at them. Lin Xian, Murong Qingqing, and Xin Jingqiu were also reluctant to part. Lin Xian said telepathically, "Don't worry, I'll look for you after this matter blows over." When the two of them heard this, they smiled. They followed their respective elders and quickly left. Lin Xian also gathered Xingtian, Elderly, Peacock, and the others. They opened the teleportation gate and directly returned to Starry Hall. Damn it! When the people of Five Elements Palace, Thousand Thunder Sacred Ground, and Tai Dynasty saw Lin Xian retreat, they all roared like crazy. This was the best chance to kill the other party, but they did not expect him to escape. Moreover, what made them even angrier was that they were now at a disadvantage. Immortal Palace had sent out 6 invincible kings. It could be said that they were suppressing one side. Moreover, the other side's foundation was very strong, and they had endless trump cards in their hands. In an instant, Five Elements Palace and Tai Dynasty were forced to retreat. Whoosh! They were finally back. The world spun, and after endless darkness, Lin Xian and the others returned to the Starry Hall. It was very quiet and peaceful here, and it had nothing to do with the battle outside. Hall Master, you're back. When the martial artists saw Lin Xian and the others return, they quickly went up. From now on, collect information from the outside at all times, especially information about the battle. Also, report to me every day about the whereabouts of the Yuhua Immortal Robe. Lin Xian instructed. The martial artists under him quickly responded. Lin Xian turned to look at Peacock and the others again. You've worked hard, go back and rest. When you're well rested, go and receive your corresponding rewards. Yes, thank you, Hall Master. Peacock and the others were overjoyed. The martial artists of Immortal Palace were even more curious. Later, he waved his hand and dismissed them. He said to Xingtian, Elderly, and the others again. The elders should also go and rest. Next, Lin Xian returned to Starry Hall. After returning, the Crimson Dragon also walked out of the black earth. His body swayed as he ate. Damn, those invincible kings were too despicable. Although they were separated by the black earth, it was still very painful. Lin Xian directly threw a storage room to the Crimson Dragon. From now on, I'm going to go into seclusion. You'd better go into seclusion to break through. Lin Xian's eyes showed a hint of seriousness. Although he was now a mid-7 star, it was not enough to face a powerless king. He had to quickly break through and be able to compete with an invincible king as soon as possible. Because he felt that it was getting more and more dangerous. Next, Lin Xian began to go into seclusion. This time, after experiencing so many battles, he had countless insights in his heart. Moreover, the harvest this time was too rich. With so many natural treasures, it was enough for him to continuously absorb. This time, Lin Xian went into seclusion for a year. During this year, Lin Xian had been absorbing the energy of those natural treasures and did not come out at all. The Crimson Dragon came out once in the middle, but then he also went into seclusion. Peacock, Huidao, Ghostly, and the others, after recuperating, went to the treasury to receive their respective rewards. This time, their rewards were very rich, several times more than before. This made them very happy. Then, these people also went into seclusion. Immortal Palace's intelligence system had been collecting information from the outside world. According to Lin Xian's instructions, intelligence was sent every day. Chapter 2589. However, Lin Xian was still in seclusion, so they couldn't send the news in. They could only leave it outside the hall. They would wait for Lin Xian to come out of seclusion before watching. In fact, there was no need for them to investigate. The entire Middle Ground was talking about this matter. Not only Middle Ground, but Eastern Wilderness, Western Desert, Northern Plains, Southern Border, and the 5 continents of the world were all talking about this matter. That was because what had happened this time was simply too shocking. How many thousands of years had it been since so many invincible kings participated in the battle? It was a truly earth-shattering battle. Countless territories sank, seas of blood floated, and ghosts wailed and wolves howled. In fact, the corpses of 2 saints were also attacking. Once the saints' nomological powers were unleashed, it created a new world. Wherever it passed, everything was destroyed. It could be said to be a catastrophe. Countless territories and cities were reduced to ashes in this battle. This battle had been going on for a year. The battle was not over yet. Every day, there would be people injured and leave, and new powerhouses would join the battle. It continued. In the blink of an eye, another half a year passed. In this half a year, the battle became even more intense. Many living fossils even came out of seclusion to fight for it. It couldn't be helped. The Yuhua immortal robe was too mysterious. It was rumored that it could bring the dead back to life, and it seemed to have been proven. A saint who had been dead for tens of thousands of years was actually breathing, and could still attack. This undoubtedly proved the mystery of the Yuhua immortal robe. If these living fossils could obtain it, they might really be able to live forever. Among the endless mountains, the mountain peaks stood tall like giant swords that pierced into the clouds. On the highest mountain peak, a group of people appeared there. Their expressions were cold, and their auras were powerful. Even a glance could penetrate the void. There was a man wearing golden armor standing on the peak of the mountain with his hands behind his back. He looked into the distance, his eyes flickering. No one knew what he was thinking. Behind him stood dozens of figures. They were old and young, but without exception, their auras were all very powerful. At this moment, they stood respectfully behind the golden-armored man, as if waiting. At this moment, a living fossil spoke. "Warlord, don't wait any longer. The Yuhua immortal robe is extremely rare. We must snatch it. Perhaps with it, our war race can truly appear on the ground again." War race! This group of people were actually from the war race. As for the middle-aged man before them, he was the war clan's current clan chief. Hearing the words Yuhua immortal robe, the battle master's eyes lit up. He naturally wanted to possess such a peerless treasure. After pondering for a moment, the battle master spoke in a low voice. "This time, I will personally take action." "What? Battle Lord, are you going to personally take action?" The elders behind him were shocked beyond words. It had been many years since the battle master had made a move. Who would have thought that he would make a move himself this time? However, on second thought, it did make sense. The Yuhua immortal robe was such a mystical item that even their battle masters would be envious of it. Among them, quite a few elders laughed. With a war master personally taking action, this was definitely an easy task. The war master nodded. Then, his gaze turned unusually cold. "What about Zhang Ji? Was she killed?" The faces of the elders behind him also darkened. Zhang Ji was a genius of their war clan. She possessed an atavistic bloodline. It could be said that she was someone they nurtured with everything they had. However, he was actually killed by someone. His body and soul were destroyed, and not even a trace of his soul escaped. This drove them mad. They swore that no matter who it was, they would not forgive anyone who dared to kill the war concubine. When the war concubine was killed, many people saw it. That was why, after asking around a bit, these people from the war clan knew who the murderer was. However, when they obtained the murderer, these people could no longer remain calm. They were all so angry that they almost vomited blood. Lin Xian, it was Lin Xian again. They were definitely not unfamiliar with this name. It was because this fella not only killed the war concubine, but also their golden lion king before. Their two heavenly geniuses were both killed by the other party. How could they endure this? Bring that person back. Regardless of whether he is some immortal palace master or something else, he has to be brought back. I want him to kneel before my war clan and receive the world's cruelest punishment. The battle master's voice was exceptionally cold. Yes, battle master, do not worry. We will do it right away. Behind him, those elders respectfully agreed. Among them, a man even knelt on one knee in midair. Battle master, do not worry, I will definitely personally bring that brat back. This man was precisely Zhang Wuhan. Previously, he had tried to kill Lin Xian once, but the other party escaped. He did not expect that the other party would kill one of their war clan's heavenly geniuses. This time, he would definitely not let the other party go. The battle master nodded. This time, there could not be any mishaps. Therefore, apart from Wuhan, the other three should also take action. The four of you war kings should take action together and bring that brat back. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. The four war kings were the four most powerful people in their war clan. Any one of them would be able to dominate a region in the outside world. At this moment, the four of them were taking action just to capture a brat. They did not dare believe it. Thinking about it, the battle master was furious to the extreme. However, when they thought about it, they also gnashed their teeth, wishing that they could tear the other party into pieces. Yes. Zhang Wuhan respectfully agreed. Beside him, three figures also walked out. None of their auras were weaker than his. They were the four war kings. The people of the war clan were relieved. With the four war kings taking action, the other party would definitely not be able to escape. On the other side, in the stellar hall. At the entrance of the hall, scrolls were piled up one after another. Each scroll represented a new piece of news from the outside world. At this moment, they had already piled up like a mountain. On this day, there was finally a change in the stellar hall. A terrifying power erupted like a flash flood. Above the stellar hall, a huge vortex appeared. Countless amounts of spiritual energy instantly surged from the vortex into the stellar hall. This scene naturally attracted the attention of others. Many people soared into the air and looked into the distance. It was the stellar hall. Could it be that the palace master was breaking through? That must be it. Heavens, this was too heaven-defying, right? How long had it been since the palace master broke through? Now he was breaking through? What do you know? The palace master's harvest this time was extremely bountiful. There were so many heavenly treasures and the palace master's shocking talent. Thinking about it, he would definitely be able to break through. Many immortal palace martial artists became excited, especially the person who entered the ancient tomb with Lin Xian. He was extremely excited. That was because after returning from the ancient tomb, they had already treated Lin Xian as their idol. There was no helping it. The glory that Lin Xian displayed in the ancient tomb was too shocking. Even the people of the Peacock clan were deeply impressed. In the sky, the huge vortex lasted for about half a day. The surging power became stronger and stronger. At the 9th time, it reached a peak. Then, a sword light tore through the clouds and cut through the sky. Chapter 2590. Immediately after, the energy that filled the sky receded like the tide. The terrifying sword shadow also slowly dissipated. The door of the starry hall opened again. A figure walked out of the cave. He was young, flamboyant, and his eyes were as deep as the stars. He was dressed in a red robe that was burning like a raging fire. This figure was naturally Lin Xian. At this moment, he had a smile on his face. After a year and a half of seclusion, coupled with countless natural treasures, he had finally made a breakthrough. At this moment, he had reached the late 7-star king realm. Compared to before, his strength had changed drastically. Now, if he were to face a genius like the Zhang Ji who had the atavistic bloodline, it would probably not be that difficult to kill her. He could easily kill the other party. This was because his strength had increased greatly after advancing a level. More importantly, the great dragon sword soul had awakened even further. His combat strength had skyrocketed. Ordinary saints were no match for him at all. Whether the top ones could fight him or not depended on whether they had made a breakthrough in the past year and a half. If they had made a breakthrough and kept up with his progress, then they could naturally fight him. However, if they did not, then they might not be Lin Xian's match. In a magnificent hall of the Yi family, Yi Wudao opened his eyes. The golden light on his body was very dazzling, and a hazy golden shadow appeared in front of him. He had finally reached the late 7-star realm. Yi Wudao walked out of the hall. As soon as he appeared, his body bloomed with brilliant light, attracting the members of the Yi family. Wudao, you've broken through! The elders of the Yi family were very happy. Leaf Dao Denier nodded, and a faint smile appeared on his face. His current strength had undergone an earth-shattering change compared to before. Furthermore, the power of his bloodline had become even more solid. The current him was much stronger than before. He looked up at the sky, his eyes flickering. He wondered if those people had made a breakthrough. The people he was talking about were naturally Lin Xian, the Alcade Saint, Gu Santong, the Prince of the Great Xia, and the others. In the endless starry sky of the Gu family, a figure appeared. His face was very pale, as if he was ill. However, his eyes were incomparably deep. This person was Gu Santong. After a year and a half of cultivation, he had also broken through. He was not the only one. Most of the others had broken through as well. That was because those who came back alive from this trip to the ancient tomb were all full of rewards. The harvest was very bountiful. This was especially true for top geniuses like Yi Wudao and Gu Santong. Among them, the prince of the Great Xia dynasty, Wuhua, Murong Qinqing, Xinjingqiu, and the others had all broken through to the next level. Demon Imperial Palace. Hui Tiandu had also broken through. Yan Ryu's aura had become even more mysterious. No one knew whether or not Yan Ryu had broken through. However, when the people of the Demon Imperial Palace saw Yan Ryu, they couldn't help but want to kneel down and worship her. In the past, they also had such feelings, but they were not as strong. But this time, they felt that they really couldn't control themselves and wanted to kneel down. It was too terrifying. These experts from the Demon Lord Hall trembled violently. They stared at Yan Ryu with respect. Even Hui Tiandu's expression became somewhat grave. He also felt the pressure coming from his bloodline. He couldn't help but be shocked. On the other side, Yin Yang sect. The Yin Yang saint walked out of a 10,000-foot tall pagoda. His body exuded Yin Yang qi, like a black and white sun shining in the sky. As soon as he appeared, he looked up to the sky and laughed ferociously. I broke through, I finally broke through. In the past 1.5 years, he had finally broken through to the late-stage 7-star king realm. His strength was many times stronger than before. Lin Xian! Damn brat! This time, I must kill you! After breaking through, the first thing that came to the Yin Yang saint's mind was revenge. Previously, he had been defeated and almost killed by Lin Xian. He couldn't accept it. Therefore, after breaking through this time, he must find Lin Xian for revenge. I'll go to the cave abode in the sacred ground and take a few treasures. Then, I'll kill that brat. The Yin Yang saint's figure flashed and disappeared into the sky. Eastern wilderness, among the endless mountains. Cranes flew in the sky. This was the Taishian sacred ground. The Taishian sacred ground was also a peerless sacred ground in the eastern wilderness. At this moment, a figure sat cross-legged on the highest peak of the 100 peaks in the Taishian sacred ground. This person's black hair fluttered in the wind, and he wore a blue robe. He sat there like an immortal, giving off an indescribable aura. This person was the Taishian saint of the Taishian sacred ground. Whoosh! At this moment, a blurry light appeared in the sky. It was like a celestial palace floating on the peak of the mountain. Buzz! The Taishian saint flipped his palm and took out a guqin. He started to play it gently. The sound of the guqin jumped and shook the void. Soon, a solemn voice came from the celestial palace. You have broken through. This is the 6 pulses divine melody. You have reached such a level. Could it be that you have broken through to become an 8-star king? The voice in the celestial palace was extremely shocked. It even trembled slightly. Buzz! The sound of the guqin stopped, and the Taishan saint stood up slowly. You should keep this to yourself. I don't want anyone else to know. Speaking of this, a cold light appeared in his eyes. The surrounding space froze instantly. The celestial palace in the sky also started to tremble violently. In just an instant, this murderous aura disappeared without a trace. Don't worry, I know. After all, we are on the same side. The voice in the celestial palace said. I have to thank you for helping me become the saint of the 9 firmament. It's good that you know. The Taishan saint said indifferently. If someone else was here, they would be extremely shocked. This mysterious palace actually belonged to the 9 firmament sacred ground. The person inside should be the new saint of the 9 firmament. The previous saint of the 9 firmament had been killed even though he had the celestial palace. It was unbelievable. They had even suspected that it was Lin Xian who had done it. However, they did not know that there was a mole in the 9 firmament sacred ground. A candidate saint had even killed the saint of the 9 firmament together with the Taishan saint. Perhaps no one had expected such a scene to occur. Brother Yun, you have already broken through to become an 8-star king. I am afraid that no one in the younger generation is your match. The new saint of the 9 firmament said with a smile. The Taishan saint waved his hand and kept the guqin. He stood with his hands behind his back and looked at the clouds. He sighed. You have underestimated those people. Do you think that I am the only one who has broken through to become an 8-star king? What? Hearing this, the person in the celestial palace was stunned. Then he said, This is impossible. I have already asked around. Even Yi Wudao, Gu Santong, and the others have only broken through to the late stage 8-star king. The Yi family and the Gu family were both clans of the ancients. Their bloodlines were so terrifying, but none of them had broken through to become an 8-star king. Who else could break through to become an 8-star king? Chapter 2591. The great mystic saint shook his head. It seems that you really have just become a saint and don't understand it at all. At this point, the suppression of one's cultivation was of great use. However, you mustn't underestimate the Yi and Gu families. Once their bloodline power erupts, the power is far beyond your imagination. Therefore, even though I've broken through to become an 8-star king, I still don't have full confidence against someone like Yi Wudao. In fact, 50% confidence is already very good. What? Is Yi Wudao so powerful? That person was shocked. He didn't expect that the great mystic saint, who was a realm higher than the other party, would only have a 50% chance of winning. This was too much of a shock to his knowledge. Moreover, it's not just Yi Wudao who has to be careful. I think there should be someone who has also become an 8-star king. Who is it? The people in the Immortal Palace were very curious. The great mystic saint's eyes gradually became focused, like 2 divine swords piercing through the void. He said in a deep voice, Alcade Saint! Alcade Saint! You mean the Alcade Saint has also become an 8-star king? The figure in the Immortal Palace exclaimed in disbelief. The Taishan Saint said in a deep voice. Although I have not confirmed it, according to my guess, the possibility should be above 80%. More than an 80% chance. The people in the Immortal Palace fell silent. Since the other party had said so, then there was a high chance that the Alcade Saint had already broken through to the 8-star king realm. Thinking of this, he fell silent. He was still only a mid-7-star. He was far behind these people. After pondering for a long time, he asked again. What about that Lin Xian? What do you think of him? According to my guess, he should have also broken through. Because his harvest this time is too rich, but it's unlikely for him to break through to the 8-star king realm. Because time is too short. He should also be a late-stage 7-star king. The Taishan Saint's son said in a low voice. However, he could not be underestimated. His sword technique is very strange. Although he doesn't have bloodline power, I have a feeling that he has a supreme treasure in his body. But what exactly is it? I still don't understand. Damn it, as long as this guy is alive, he will always be a threat. The person in the Immortal Palace had a worried look. I've just become the 9 Firmament Saint. With the relationship between our 9 Firmament Sacred Ground and the other party, there will definitely be a war. At that time, I will have no choice but to stand up for him. However, I'm no match for him right now. Don't worry, you don't need to do anything. He killed 2 of the war race's geniuses, so the war race won't let him go. Also, I don't think the Yin-Yang sect will let him go either. It had to be said that he had provoked too many forces. Indeed, the war race definitely wouldn't let him go. The new saint of the 9 firmaments sneered. As long as the war race took action, he could sit back and relax. On the other side, Starry Hall. After Lin Xian came out, he began to look at the mountain of information at the door. After his strength had increased, his soul power had also increased by a level. Now, his soul power was very close to Invincible King level. Not only that, but his combat power was also very close. If he attacked with his full strength, killing a late-stage 8-star king was not a problem for him. With a thought, Lin Xian understood all the information. Then he frowned. A year and a half had passed, yet the war was still going on. Not only had it not weakened, it had instead become more and more intense. The various living fossils, elders, and even the sect master had taken action. And the corpses of the 2 saints were becoming more and more terrifying. Not only did their energy not weaken, but it also recovered faster. In fact, they had even sucked dozens of Earth's spirit veins dry. This shocked everyone. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. If these 2 saints were really resurrected, they would probably be in danger. No matter how many invincible kings there were, they probably wouldn't be enough. Unless the saints of the other sacred grounds took action, they might be able to subdue them. He wondered how the 6 great protectors were doing. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. The 6 great protectors of the Immortal Palace had also gone to search for the Yuhua Immortal Robe. Even the old palace master had taken action. Forget it, let's not think about this. Lin Xian shook his head. These were too far away for him. He had just broken through and consumed half of the resources in his hands. He didn't absorb the rest immediately because he had just broken through and it was not suitable for him to go into seclusion. He was going to go out for a walk and cultivate the realm he had just entered. However, before he went out, he still had one more thing to do. He called out the Crimson Dragon. Previously, there were 2 things in the bronze treasure box. One was the jade seal that opened the coffin of the saint, and the other was a piece of beast skin. At that time, it was snatched by the Crimson Dragon. Lin Xian and the others didn't have time to watch the various battles and life and death situations. After returning, he immediately went into seclusion. Therefore, this thing had always been in his hands and he hadn't seen it yet. Now that he had time, he called out the Crimson Dragon and the 2 of them prepared to study it together. The Crimson Dragon also came out of seclusion. He had also broken through to the late-stage 7-star king realm. His cultivation was the same as Lin Xian's, and his strength was about the same. This surprised the Crimson Dragon. His current strength was about the same as when he was at his peak. Although he was still a little short, he thought that he would be able to fully recover soon. At that time, he would be able to command the wind and clouds. Kid, why did you call Ben Wang here? Do you want to exchange a few blows? Having just broken through, the Crimson Dragon was very excited. He really wanted to find someone to fight. Therefore, he stared at Lin Xian. Lin Xian waved his hand. Stop fooling around. I have something serious to talk to you about. As he said that, he took out the beast's skin. Do you still remember this thing? Do you mean the treasure in the bronze treasure box? How could I not remember? It was Ben Huang who snatched it. The Crimson Dragon had a smug look on his face. Then, he waved his dragon claws and grabbed it again. Then, he opened it. He wanted to let Ben Huang see what kind of treasure was inside. Do you think it's a kind of saint's cultivation method? The saint's cultivation method was very terrifying. It had already surpassed the heaven-level cultivation method. If they could get it, it would be very helpful to improve their strength. However, after opening it, the two of them frowned. There was indeed something on it. There were strange runes, but they didn't recognize them. Damn it, why were these runes very similar to the runes on the walls of the saint's ancient tomb? This should be an extremely ancient language. We can't understand it at all now. The Crimson Dragon sighed. He could recognize the ancient language. However, this was not an ancient language. This was even more complicated than the ancient language. Damn it, what era was this language from? Ancient? Ancient? He didn't know. In fact, he even suspected that it was an immortal pattern. Kid, call the elders of the Immortal Palace over and see if they know, the Crimson Dragon said. Chapter 2592. The origin of Immortal Palace was mysterious and had a long history. Perhaps someone inside would recognize it. Thus, Lin Xian called for some of the Immortal Palace's elders to come over and see if they could recognize those characters. Those elders also frowned and shook their heads. They didn't recognize it. In fact, a few living fossils were also at a loss. They exclaimed. This language was too ancient, far beyond their understanding. The 6 great protectors weren't here. Perhaps they knew something, an elder said. However, the living fossil elder shook his head. The 6 great protectors probably didn't know. Perhaps only the old temple master knew. However, because of the Yuhua immortal robe, the old temple master had already left Immortal Palace and wasn't here for the time being. Temple master, do you want to wait for the old temple master to come back and show it to him? All right, it seems like that's the only way. Lin Xian nodded. He wasn't in a hurry. Anyway, the thing was in his hands. He would be able to crack it sooner or later. He put away the bee's skin. Then, the Crimson Dragon discussed and decided to go out for a walk to see if there were any changes outside. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon left Immortal Palace and headed outside. The two of them first went to the place where the ancient tomb was located. When they arrived, there was already no one there. Originally, they thought that many people would go in to explore the ancient tomb. However, that wasn't the case. The entire ancient tomb had completely sunk and was sealed again. Without a large number of formation masters, it was impossible to break it open continuously. Therefore, those ordinary warriors couldn't enter at all. As time passed, there weren't many people here. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon walked around and found that there was nothing around. The two of them looked at each other and said, "Let's go." The two of them flashed and flew into the distance. However, not long after, Lin Xian frowned. His soul power was now infinitely close to that of an invincible king. Therefore, the range of his detection was very wide. He found that there were many auras flying towards him from afar. Among them, there were the power of the 5 elements, the power of the 9 heavens, and the power of yin and yang that he was very familiar with. Come to think of it, they should be people from these sections. He didn't expect them to be guarding here. "Do you want to make a move?" the Crimson Dragon said. Lin Xian shook his head. They were just a bunch of trash, not worth his time. Indeed, his eyesight had improved a lot compared to before, and he already looked down on those disciples of the Holy Lands. That's true. The Crimson Dragon swung its tail and the two sped up, flying into the distance. With their speed, they quickly shook off those Holy Lands disciples. However, after flying for a while, Lin Xian frowned again. This was because he discovered that there was another force following closely behind. Moreover, the distance between them was getting closer and closer. Lin Xian frowned. On the side, the Crimson Dragon asked, "Kid, what's wrong?" Lin Xian said. There were still people chasing after them. There was someone else? The Crimson Dragon snorted coldly. Who was so reckless? Come, Benoit wants to fight 300 rounds with him. Let's go and find a safe place. Let's see who dares to follow us. The two of them flashed and flew into the distance. Finally, they found a place that was more suitable for fighting, and the two of them stopped. They didn't continue flying. Behind them, that aura suddenly erupted and approached rapidly. Soon, a figure appeared in front of them. Seeing this figure, the two of them frowned. Especially Lin Xian, a cold murderous intent appeared in his eyes. Zhang Wuhan, it was actually him. Lin Xian had a very deep impression of this person. Last time, he fought with him. At that time, he was only an early-stage 7-star king, and the other party was a mid-stage 8-star powerhouse. In that battle, he used many trump cards and even unlocked the Saint's Hand Bone. However, the other party was still able to block it. If not for Xia Jiuyo, he would really be in danger. But now, that might not be the case. In a short 3 years, she had reached the late-stage 7-star king level. Now, he could even kill late-stage 8-star powerhouses. Therefore, when he met Zhang Wuhan again, he wasn't nervous at all. Instead, he was a little excited. He was looking forward to it. He wanted to kill this person with his own hands. It was actually him. It was someone from the war tribe again. Damned war tribe, they were really haunting him. The Crimson Dragon snorted coldly. He realized that the other party had come alone. This guy from the war tribe was really arrogant. He actually came alone. Oh no, there was also a big bird. He looked ahead. Under Zhang Wuhan's feet, there was a golden rock. It spread its wings and flew quickly. The golden rock spread its wings, which were thousands of meters long. It was like a huge golden mountain flying in the sky. Although it was big, its speed was very fast, like lightning. In an instant, it brought Zhang Wuhan to Lin Xian's vicinity. "Kid, it's really you." Zhang Wuhan stood on the golden rock. He looked into the distance and sneered. The 4 war monarchs of the war tribe were searching from the east, west, south, and north. This time, they definitely wouldn't let the other party go. Zhang Wuhan didn't expect that he would be so lucky to meet the other party. Therefore, he didn't hesitate and directly chased over. He didn't immediately send a message to the other 3 war monarchs, because he felt that with his strength, it was easy to kill the other party. Because he had already investigated clearly. Immortal Palace's 6 protectors had gone to search for the Yuhua Immortal Robe. Immortal Palace's old palace master, Xia Jiuyo, also went. This time, no one would come to save the other party. He wanted to personally capture the other party and bring him back. He wanted to let the other party know the consequences of going against the war tribe. "Kid, I'll give you a chance. Kneel down and accept your death. Your trump card is useless against me. You have a saint's fragment, but so do I." Zhang Wuhan stood with his hands behind his back, standing on the golden rock. He was like a war god, unstoppable. He looked ahead disdainfully, not putting Lin Xian in his eyes at all. This was because he had already seen Lin Xian's trump card last time. He could completely deal with it. Last time, if not for Xia Jiuyo, he would have killed the other party long ago. Kneel down and accept your death? You really think highly of yourself? Lin Xian snorted coldly. The current me is no longer the strength of 3 years ago. This time, the one who will be killed will be you. His body emitted a piercingly cold sword intent. The one who will be killed will be me? Hearing this, Zhang Wuhan sneered disdainfully. "Kid, you're dreaming. I know that you had some fortuitous encounters in the Saint's Tomb, but do you think that a short 3 years can make up for the distance between us? You're too naive. I'll let you know how big the gap is between us. Not to mention 3 years, even if it's 300 years, you won't be my match." Zhang Wuhan snorted coldly, his body also emitting a terrifying aura. He didn't think that the other party could defeat him. Even with the snake beside him, they were still not his match. This was because the golden-winged rock under his feet wasn't just a mount, it was also an extremely terrifying demon king. A peerless demon king. Chapter 2593. 1. As expected, the golden rock flapped its wings, forming a terrifying golden storm. A terrifying power swept out from its body. Zhang Wuhan also exuded a terrifying aura. A golden spear appeared in his hand, emitting a dazzling light. Kill! With a roar, the spear pierced out like a golden dragon. The golden rock under his feet also cooperated with him and charged forward. In an instant, Lin Xian was completely enveloped. Light tore through the clouds, and a terrifying power pierced through the void. Rosalong, one for each. Lin Xian's sword radiance bloomed. The dragon sword realm enveloped him, blocking the terrifying power. And Hong, who was at the side, also laughed. All right, I'll roast this golden rock. As he said that, he charged forward. A dragon claw covered the sky and pressed down from the sky. This time, the dragon claw was filled with blood qi. It was as if it could split the sky and earth apart. Humph! Zhang Wuhan's body swayed. He left the golden rock and flew towards Lin Xian. He did not care about the crimson dragon. He believed that his golden rock could definitely kill it. He only needed to capture the kid in front of him. One roar! The golden rock roared. Its golden wings were like heavenly blades. They shone brightly and went against the crimson dragon's dragon claw. The collision of the two was earth-shattering. The two beasts fought. On the other side, Lin Xian and Zhang Wuhan were also fighting. The ancient dragon abyss sword and the golden battle spear collided. Light danced in the sky, and the void was completely pierced through. Countless sword radiances surrounded them. Seeing that his opponent could block his attack, Zhang Wuhan snorted. Kid, your strength has indeed increased. Is this what gives you the right to be so arrogant? You're too naive. I haven't even used my full strength. At this point, the golden radiance in his hand grew stronger. An even more terrifying power was released. Is that so? I haven't used my full strength either. Lin Xian snorted as well. The sword aura on his body shone brighter. Boom! With a dragon's roar, the great dragon sword spirit completely erupted. The terrifying sword light tore through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The moment this sword qi appeared, Zhang Wuhan's pupils constricted. His expression changed. This sword qi was so powerful. Damn it, how could this brat's strength become so strong? He was simply too shocked because the current Lin Xian was several times stronger than the one he had seen 3 years ago. This was something he didn't dare to imagine. It should be known that every time one reached the level of Almighty or Peerless Almighty, it would take hundreds of years. He might not even succeed. Yet, in the short span of 3 years, the other party had actually improved so much. How did this kid do it? Zhang Wuhan gritted his teeth. So what if you've become stronger? I will not be defeated. He had complete confidence in himself. His cultivation was higher than the other parties, and in terms of talent and bloodline, he was superior to the other party. He did not believe that the other party could surpass his level and defeat him. Kill! Zhang Wuhan roared angrily. Countless rays of light appeared on his body and turned into a battle map. This was the power of his bloodline. He had activated it in an instant, and a terrifying power surged out continuously. It contained a mysterious power. Buzz! The bloodline battle map floated out of Zhang Wuhan's body and rolled in the sky. It was as if a blood-red world had descended into the human world. There were many mysterious and terrifying runes on it. They flickered in the sky and pressed down on Lin Xian. 5 elements sword, 5 elements as one. Lin Xian waved his sword, and the 5 elements sword flew out in the sky and intertwined, forming a terrifying 5 elements sword light. It slashed towards the sky. The 5 elements sword was extremely terrifying. In addition to the power of Lin Xian's great dragon sword spirit, it was truly capable of slaying gods and Buddhas. In an instant, it collided with the terrifying bloodline battle map. The collision of the two was earth-shattering. At the same time, Lin Xian waved his left hand and took out the flower protector. He shook it gently, and a corner of the seal was lifted. A terrifying demonic sound pierced through the air. The sound was too terrifying. Not only could it attack a martial artist's body, but it could also injure their soul. Buzz! Zhang Wuhan's body trembled, and a look of shock appeared in his eyes. The blood in his body was boiling, and he felt as if his body was about to explode. Damn it, what is this thing? He looked at the octagonal bell in the sky, and in the next moment, he exclaimed, "Get lost!" With a roar, the bloodline power in his body quickly bloomed, forming a blood-red pagoda that enveloped his body. However, the flower protector was refined by a sage, and it was a peerless weapon. Although it had only been lifted a little, it was not that easy to resist. As expected, although Zhang Wuhan had used the bloodline pagoda, it was still difficult for him to resist it. Buzz! The 5 seals on the ancient dragon abyss sword were lifted, and its power suddenly skyrocketed. The terrifying ancient dragon abyss sword transformed into a giant sword that was hundreds of feet long and fell from the sky. Not good! Zhang Wuhan's pupils constricted, and he hurriedly waved his golden spear in front of him. With a clang, the golden spear kept trembling, and Zhang Wuhan's arm went numb. His arm was broken. His entire body was pushed back continuously, shattering the void. Bam! Bam! He only stopped after retreating a few thousand miles. At this moment, he was in a sorry state, and his hair was disheveled. His arms had exploded, and blood dyed his armor red. Crack! 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 His bloodline powers surged, and his arms grew back. Zhang Wuhan roared at the sky. Ah! Damn thief, I'm going to kill you! He swore that he would kill Lin Fan and only bring his soul back. He was simply too furious. Thinking back, he had vowed solemnly that the other party would definitely not be a match for him. But now, in an instant, he was severely injured, and Lin Fan was unharmed. He could not believe it, and he could not accept it. Kid, you've completely angered me. I'll let you see my true power. Zhang Wuhan's black hair danced wildly, and his eyes were as sharp as blades. He quickly formed hand seals, and his power kept rolling. Rumble! The sky split open, and dark clouds covered the surroundings. An endless sea of blood surged. Buzz! A blood-red steel fell from the sky. This blood-red steel was thousands of feet tall. It was covered with mysterious runes, and it emitted a monstrous aura. The moment it appeared, the sky within a few million miles was completely dyed red. Countless seas of blood floated in the sky, and it even rained blood. The ground was instantly dyed red. You're just an ant. How can you fight against the war tribe? Now go to hell for me. Zhang Wuhan stood in the sky, looking down like a demon king. He waved his hand, and the blood-red steel in the sky quickly pressed down. Wherever it passed, the void shattered. Nothing could stop it. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. This blood-red steel was too much of a threat to him. Moreover, the runes on it rotated, making him feel like his body was being sealed. This blood-red steel had a suppressive effect. The space around him froze, and he could not move at all. He even felt that his blood and soul were about to be suppressed. Buzz! 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 Sword chi rushed out of his body, rushing in all directions. He wanted to break through space and escape this place. However, the surrounding sea of blood wrapped tightly around the sword lights, swallowing them. Seeing this, Zhang Wuhan laughed. Chapter 2594. Brat, don't waste your energy struggling. This blood-colored sky steel is not something you can imagine. You can't fight it. Indeed, the blood-colored steel was his bloodline ability. It was extremely terrifying. It could even kill someone with a higher cultivation level than him. Not to mention a kid with a lower cultivation level than him. The blood-colored steel suppressed everything and enveloped Lin Xian. You want to suppress me with a mere steel? What a joke! Lin Xian snorted coldly. The great dragon sword soul in his body circulated crazily. Chaotic Sky Destroyer Sword, sky shattering. With a slash of the sword, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The sword slashed at the blood-colored steel, resulting in a shocking collision. The blood-colored steel stopped descending. It was blocked by the long sword. Not only that, But a crack appeared on the steel and spread in all directions. More and more cracks appeared. With a final boom, the blood-colored steel exploded. What other tricks do you have? Use them all! Lin Xian pointed his sword at the sky. Zhang Wuhan's pupils constricted. He did not expect his blood-colored steel to be broken just like that. He could not believe it. Damn it! He quickly dodged, because Lin Xian once again brandished his sword and charged over. With a poochie sound, the long sword struck his armor, producing a clanking sound. His armor was cut open. Blood even flowed out from his shoulder. Whoosh! Blood dyed the sky red. If someone was here, they would definitely scream. That was because that sword strike was truly too terrifying. Lin Xian was too terrifying. He could actually hurt Zhang Wuhan. Zhang Wuhan was also shocked. He never expected to be hurt by his opponent. Ah! He roared angrily. Get lost! The terrifying fist seemed to have turned into a starry sky as it charged toward Lin Xian. Bang! The ancient dragon abyss sword was sent flying. Bang! 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 Lin Xian also kept retreating. The blood in his body was boiling. He had to admit that Zhang Wuhan was very powerful. He was definitely a peerless battle monarch. Even a late-stage 8-star monarch would not be able to suppress him. However, Lin Xian was fearless. No matter how strong his opponent was, he could kill him today. He would not let his opponent leave. Kill! With a furious roar, Lin Xian's long sword soared through the air. The shadow of a dragon appeared beneath his feet, roaring in the void. The terrifying dragon-shaped sword she slashed forward towards Zhang Wuhan. 1. Bloodline power appeared on Zhang Wuhan's body. The blood-red battle map wrapped around his body. He held the golden spear in his hand and swung it wildly. Boom! Boom! The two of them continuously clashed, causing the heavens to collapse and the earth to split. The two of them used all of their strength, killing until the heavens and earth lost their color. Ah! Roar! After the two of them exchanged 300 moves, a miserable shriek suddenly rang out. Immediately after, intense demonic aura surged. Noticing this change, Traceless War's expression changed. Not good. He turned to look into the distance. The golden-winged Great Peng's body was cut in half. Its body, which was nearly 1,000 meters long, split open. Blood turned into a sea of blood that surged in the sky. Large amounts of feathers fell, piercing through the void. Damn it, how is this possible? Wuhan Zhan was stunned. His golden-winged rock was a peerless demon king. It was also a heaven and earth variant. It was extremely terrifying. Ordinary almighties would not be able to hurt him. But now, he was actually killed by someone. Damn it! What the hell was that snake? He realized that everything related to Lin Xian was so strange. The golden-winged Great Ping wailed. Its broken body wanted to recover. However, the Crimson Dragon would not give it a chance. He opened his mouth and spat out flames that covered the broken body. The golden-winged Great Ping screamed. Its body emitted the fragrance of roasted meat. The Crimson Dragon threw its head back and laughed. Haha, Ben Wan had not eaten roasted golden ping in a long time. Today, he would have a good meal. Damn snake, go to hell for me. Wuhan Zhan was furious. He threw a punch. That was his mount. How could he allow it to be killed? However, his fist was blocked halfway. Lin Xian's sword slashed through the void. Your opponent is me. Damn it! Wuhan Zhan roared. A blood-red light bloomed on his body. The blood-red battle map floated out again. He grabbed it in his hand as if it was holding a world. He threw it forward. Boom! 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 The two collided. The scene was too terrifying. The blood-red world seemed to exist as it shattered the void. It completely enveloped Lin Xian. It wanted to refine Lin Xian into a pool of blood. Lin Xian held the long sword in his hand and transformed into a giant dragon. He soared into the sky and collided with the blood-red world. Boom! 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 Suddenly, the blood-red world collapsed. Ah! Wuhan Zhan roared angrily. His entire body merged into the blood-red battle map. His body turned into a battle map. The battle map stabilized completely. Not only that, but its power also increased exponentially. Go to hell, brat! At this moment, Wuhan Zhan activated his bloodline power to the extreme. Lin Xian also roared. He let out an earth-shattering dragon roar. He merged with the great dragon sword soul, and their huge bodies collided with each other non-stop. Not only that, he also released terrifying sword chi. The entire world was shattering. Boom! The blood-red world crashed into Lin Xian. He vomited blood and was sent flying. However, Lin Xian's sword chi hit the blood-red battle map. Wuhan Zhan also vomited blood. His body had been pierced through. 3 terrifying sword chis pierced through his body, nailing him in the air. Ah! Wuhan Zhan screamed. He let out a sizzling sound as he refined the blood-red sword chi. On the other side, Lin Xian also stabilized his body. He destroyed all the blood-red aura on his body. The sharp light in his eyes became even brighter. Kill! Kill! 2 angry roars rang out. The 2 of them fought fiercely again. Streaks of dragon star sword chi shot into the sky from Lin Xian's body. On the other side, Wuhan Zhan also dragged the blood-red world and fought fiercely. Neither of them used their saint's fragments. They knew that it would be useless even if they used them. Because both of them used their saint's fragments, they would cancel each other out. It was better to use their own ultimate skills and fight to the death. This battle lasted for 5 days and 5 nights. Both of them were severely injured. However, Wuhan Zhan was in a worse state. His body was split open twice. Once, his head was almost split open. It had even hurt his soul. This scared him out of his wits. Fortunately, he managed to dodge it in the end. He looked ahead, and his expression became extremely ugly. He did not expect this battle to be so difficult. If he had known, he would not have come alone. He would have called the other 3 battle monarchs over. If the 4 of them worked together, they could easily kill Wuhan Zhan. However, it was too late to say anything now. He was summoning the other 3 battle monarchs. They probably would not arrive any time soon. It seemed that he could only use his ancestor's shadow. Wuhan Zhan's eyes turned serious. He had the atavistic bloodline. The next moment, he knelt on one knee and bit his finger. He used his blood to draw strange runes in the air, forming a law. Welcome, ancestor. Wuhan Zhan's voice rang out. The blood-red runes floated in the air. Buzz! A blood-red figure gradually took shape. Seeing this blood-red figure, Lin Xian frowned. Chapter 2595. He knew that this was the spirit of the ancestor of the war tribe. He had seen it on Zhang Ji before. At that time, the ancestor phantom that Zhang Ji summoned was already very powerful. Even Lin Xian felt a headache coming on. Now, Zhang Wuhan was even more terrifying than Zhang Ji. How terrifying would the ancestor phantom that he summoned be? Lin Xian didn't know. He decided that he couldn't wait any longer. He had to take the initiative to attack. Buzz! With a wave of his hand, Flower Protector flew over and floated above the ancestor phantom. It let out a terrifying demonic sound. It formed rolling waves that enveloped the ancestor phantom. Buzz! Flower Protector was too terrifying. The aura that hung down was so terrifying that it even attracted lightning. Countless lightning bolts descended, completely enveloping the ancestor phantom. Terrifying energy pierced through all directions. Humph, it's useless. You can't break my ancestor phantom. Zhang Wuhan wasn't worried about this scene. He just knelt down devoutly. The speed of his hand seals became faster and faster. As expected, the hazy figure was struck by lightning and the sound waves. It wasn't affected at all. Instead, it became more and more corporeal. With a roar, the ancestor phantom attacked. It directly shattered the lightning bolts that filled the sky and sent Flower Protector flying. Buzz! A palm with a supreme aura grabbed at Lin Xian. Lin Xian also reached out with the azure dragon palm. This palm seemed to have transformed into the azure dragon's huge claw. It was very ferocious. Scales appeared on it, surrounded by terrifying sword chi. The collision between the two caused the sky to crumble and the earth to crack. Lin Xian's sword chi pierced through the blood-colored palm. What ancestor phantom? It's not like I haven't killed one before. Lin Xian pointed his sword forward. A golden light appeared in his eyes. Not good. A soul attack. Seeing this, Zhan Wuhan hurriedly created a pagoda to protect his soul. At the same time, he used a secret technique to resist. He knew about the other party's soul attack. He didn't dare to be careless. However, this time, he didn't attack Zhan Wuhan. Instead, he looked at the ancestor phantom. He used the divine guidance secret technique to control the ancestor phantom. However, this ancestor's phantom was extremely terrifying. Even if it was only a trace of its remnant soul, it was still not something that Lin Xian could control. However, the impact was still not a problem. Lin Xian also formed a seal with his palms. Above his head, a pair of golden eyes appeared, overlooking the earth. The power of divine attraction increased exponentially. Finally, it affected the projection of the war race's ancestor. Damn it! Zhan Wuhan's face turned green. He realized that his connection with the ancestral projection had weakened. In fact, he couldn't even command the ancestral silhouette anymore. This left him extremely shocked and in disbelief. The other party's eyes were too terrifying. What other tricks do you have? Bring them all out. If you don't, then don't blame me for being rude. Lin Xian looked down at the front, his voice cold. Damn it! Wuhan Zhan roared again. Spear War 8 Baron! He brandished his golden spear with incomparable sharpness. At the same time, Traceless War threw out several prized artifacts. A black pagoda, a purple gourd, and a blue flying sword. These three prized artifacts were extremely terrifying. They were all heaven-grade prized artifacts. Now that they attacked together, it was truly terrifying. Lin Xian didn't hold back either. He used the Chaotic Sky Destroyer sword and 5 Elements sword to the extreme. Dragon-shaped sword she flew out. Flower Protector and the Heavenly Secret Divine Eye were also activated. All sorts of secret techniques were used. The entire place was in an uproar. Everything within a radius of a few million miles was struck by the shockwave and was annihilated continuously. When all the light dissipated, Zhan Wuhan was covered in blood. The light in his eyes dimmed. The projection of the ancestor was still shattered and disappeared. It was completely out of his control. As for him, he had also been seriously injured in the collision just now. If he hadn't taken out the sage's fragment at the end to defend himself, he would probably have been killed. However, so what if he had the sage's fragment? His opponent had it too. As expected, Lin Xian took out the sage's hand bone and blocked Zhan Wuhan's fragment. Buzz! The great dragon sword soul appeared and was held in his hand. Like a god of death, he walked forward step by step. Damn it! Zhan Wuhan spat out a mouthful of blood, which wrapped around his body. He turned into a streak of bloody light and fled into the distance. At this point, he had to admit that he was no match for his opponent. Although it was hard for him to believe that he was no match for a person he could easily kill 3 years ago, he still couldn't defeat him now. He didn't know what had happened, but he had to escape now. He wanted to join forces with the other 3 war monarchs and kill his opponent again. However, he had no chance. Lin Xian wouldn't let him go. The dragon sword swayed and slashed out a terrifying sword light, cutting him in half. Zhan Wuhan screamed and tried to recover. However, the great dragon sword soul was actually so easily destroyed. His body couldn't heal quickly. Buzz! Lin Xian activated the Heavenly Secret Divine Eye again. A pair of golden eyes appeared in the sky and looked down. The Soul Ignition secret technique was activated, burning Zhan Wuhan's soul. Ah! Zhan Wuhan screamed as his 2 halves rolled in the air. In the end, his soul was destroyed. His 2 halves fell to the ground, creating 2 deep pits. Kid, his blood is good stuff. Don't waste it. Let's see if you can refine it. The crimson dragon flew over. It waved its claws and used the dragon race's mystique to collect all of Zhang Wuhan's blood. Whoosh! Zhang Wuhan's body quickly caved in, turning into a dried corpse. Lin Xian waved his hand and took Zhang Wuhan's storage ring. He also forcibly put away the other 3 heaven-grade treasures. He used the proud divine eye to erase the soul imprints on them. Finally, he looked up at the sky. Facing off against the sage's hand was a broken pagoda. It was also a fragment of a sage and was no weaker than the sage's hand. Now that Zhang Wuhan was dead, it was his. Rosalong and Lin Xian worked together to subdue the pagoda fragment. The Crimson Dragon and Lin Xian worked together. The 2 of them used the great sealing art to seal the broken pagoda. Lin Xian gave the fragment to the Crimson Dragon. He already had 1. It was useless to have more. This was because he did not have enough power to control 2 sage fragments at the same time. Giving it to the Crimson Dragon was just right. The Crimson Dragon's strength was about the same as his. The Crimson Dragon was his companion, and had always been by his side. Giving it to him was equivalent to increasing his own combat strength. The Crimson Dragon did not stand on ceremony and took the pagoda fragment. With this item, his strength would become even stronger. The other 3 heaven-grade treasures were also put away by Lin Xian. Lin Xian grabbed Zhang Wuhan and then flicked out a wisp of flame, burning Zhang Wuhan's body. Let's go! He flashed 3 times and left the place. He turned into a ray of light and disappeared into the sky. After flying for hundreds of thousands of li, Lin Xian stopped and entered the Black Earth. Zhang Wuhan was a peerless battle king. He was powerful and had a noble status. Moreover, he had been famous for many years. His storage ring must be very rich. As expected, when he probed it with his soul power, Lin Xian was shocked. Chapter 2596. There were hundreds of divine gems alone, and many of them were mutated. Apart from that, there were also many precious medicinal herbs. There were also finished pills. Lin Xian even found some secret pills that only the battle race had. This made him wild with joy. In addition to pills and divine crystals, there were also some top Earth-grade weapons. However, Lin Xian didn't take a fancy to them. The best few heavenly-grade weapons had already been put away by him. Let me see what cultivation techniques there are. Lin Xian was looking forward to the battle race's divine abilities and cultivation techniques. Because some of the divine abilities that Zhang Wuhan had used previously made him envious and shocked. The battle race was born for battle. They were a very powerful battle race. Their cultivation techniques were definitely not weak. As expected, Lin Xian found a few heaven-grade cultivation techniques. The heaven-battling divine fist, the golden spear art, and the ninefold thunder sword. Among them, the golden spear art and the ninefold thunder sword were elementary heaven-grade cultivation techniques. The heaven-battling divine fist was a mid-grade heaven-grade cultivation technique. Lin Xian abandoned the golden spear art. He used a sword, so he didn't practice spear arts. The ninefold thunder sword was suitable for him, and the heaven-battling divine fist was also useful to him. He flipped through it roughly. The ninefold thunder sword had a total of 9 levels. Every time he succeeded in cultivating a level, the lightning sword chi would become stronger. Moreover, he could stack 9 levels together. It was extremely terrifying and was comparable to a mid-grade heaven-grade cultivation technique. This is really a good thing. Lin Xian decided to cultivate. Then, he looked at the heaven-battling divine fist. This fist technique was a secret technique of the battle race. It needed to be combined with the power of the bloodline to unleash 100% of its power. Lin Xian didn't care about this harsh condition because he had the great dragon sword soul and could simulate everything. Therefore, he also prepared to cultivate. Since he had nothing to do, Lin Xian didn't go out. He directly cultivated in the Black Earth. The Crimson Dragon beside him also began to snatch the Saint's fragment. Just like that, a month passed. The Crimson Dragon had succeeded. It was as excited as an old monster, as it cheered wildly. Lin Xian also opened his eyes. He had successfully cultivated the first layer of the 9-layered Thunder Sword. He had also grasped some superficial knowledge of the heaven-battling Divine Fist. He gave it a try and discovered that he could use the power of the Great Dragon Sword Spirit to replace the power of the Battle Race's bloodline. He was overjoyed, as he could now practice the heaven-battling Godly Fist to its peak. With a flash, Lin Xian exited the Black Earth. He was prepared to take a stroll around to see if there was any news or whereabouts of the Yuhua Immortal Robe. Hundreds of thousands of miles away from here, a group of people was sitting on a mountain peak. Suddenly, the figure at the very front opened his eyes. In front of him was an 8 trigrams formation plate. At this moment, a red dot lit up and moved quickly. It had appeared. The figure sitting cross-legged spoke. Hearing this, another young man next to him opened his eyes. Black and white energy quickly spread out from his body, looking very mysterious. Yin Yang Saint. This young man was the Yin Yang Saint. Behind him were many powerful cultivators from the Yin Yang sect. As expected of the clairvoyant master's disciple, you found the boy's whereabouts so easily. Thank you, Brother E. The Yin Yang Saint smiled at the young man sitting cross-legged beside him. The young man was wearing a Taoist robe, and his black hair was tied up with a green thread. He picked up the 8 trigrams formation plate in front of him, stood up, and nodded. The Yin Yang Saint is too polite. It's the rule of the clairvoyant sect to do things for others. He waved his hand, and the formation plate turned into a light image, floating in the sky. Since I've found the boy's whereabouts, I'll take my leave. Take care, Brother E. The Yin Yang Saint smiled. The mysterious young man called Brother E disappeared into the void with a flicker. The Yin Yang Saint looked at the remaining light image in the sky and smiled. Everyone listened and prepared to set off. The Yin Yang Saint took the lead and led the powerful cultivators from the Yin Yang sect into the sky. This time, they were here to kill Lin Xian. The Yin Yang Saint's strength had increased greatly after his seclusion, so he was confident that he could kill Lin Xian. However, he did not know where Lin Xian was. So he found a disciple of the clairvoyant sect. The clairvoyant sect was a very mysterious sect. They could predict everything in the world and claimed that there was nothing they did not know. The Yin Yang Saint spent a lot of money to hire them. Just like that, they found Lin Xian's location. Now, they were chasing after Lin Xian. In the end, the Yin Yang Saint could not wait any longer. He waved his hand, and countless Yin and Yang Qi rolled, forming a huge jade door. It tore open the void and sent them through. On the other side, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon continued on their way. Crack! 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 Suddenly, dozens of miles away from them, the space cracked open, and a crack that was a few thousand meters wide appeared. It was as if it was torn apart by a pair of invisible hands. From within the crack, figures walked out one after another. They were densely packed, numbering at least a few dozen people. Although there were not many of them, each of them was a powerful cultivator. They emitted a terrifying aura. This scene made Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon stop. Lin Xian frowned. The Crimson Dragon looked into the distance and screamed. F***CK, it's the Yin Yang Saint. D***MN, he's really haunting me. That's right, the Yin Yang Saint and his people came out of the crack. As soon as the Yin Yang Saint appeared, the Yin and Yang Qi in his body circulated, dispelling the dizziness. Then he looked around. In an instant, he locked onto the 2 figures in front of him. When he saw Lin Xian, he revealed a sinister smile. Kid, it's really you. He was too excited. For more than a year, he had dreamed of killing Lin Xian every day. Lin Xian seemed to have become his inner demon. If he did not kill Lin Xian, his future martial path would not be too smooth. Therefore, he had to kill Lin Xian. He wanted to let the world know that he, the Yin Yang Saint, was the most powerful. Kid, get over here and die. The Yin Yang Saint took a step forward and instantly appeared a few hundred meters in front of Lin Xian. He looked down from high above like a Yin Yang immortal king. Lin Xian laughed. You really don't know what's good for you. I've already struck you twice last time, and you still dare to look for me? Why, do you think you can defeat me this time? I say, you'd better get lost. Trash like you is not worthy of my attack. But if you really provoke me, I don't mind killing you again. By then, your yin-yang sect will have nowhere to cry. What a sharp-tongued kid! The yin-yang saint snorted. No matter what you say, you can't escape death this time. I'm no longer the same person as before. Speaking up to this point, the yin-yang saint snorted. The energy in his body exploded and swept out. The energy of a late-stage 7-star king swept out. Seeing this, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. I was wondering what it was. So you're the one who broke through. Is this your trump card? If that's the case, then you can die in peace. Chapter 2597. The title of the previous chapter is wrong. It should be Chapter 2600. Just know it. Stop bragging. The current me is many times stronger than before. The yin-yang saint roared. He really wanted to prove his strength. Humph! Lin Xian sneered. Do you think you're the only one who broke through? Did I not break through? As he spoke, he took a step forward. Sword chi erupted from his body. Shadows of lightning swords circled around him from all directions. Late-stage 7-star king. He was also a late-stage 7-star king. This kid had also broken through. The yin-yang sect cultivators were shocked. They did not expect Lin Xian to have such talent and strength. The yin-yang saint also frowned. But soon he sneered. Lin Xian's breakthrough was within his expectations. He knew that Lin Xian had obtained a large number of treasures in the ancient tomb. He would definitely be able to break through. However, other than his own strength, he still had a few other trump cards up his sleeves for this trip. He had mastered 2 of the yin-yang sect's ultimate techniques. These 2 ultimate techniques were very difficult to master. Hence, he did not master them in the ancient tomb. However, after the previous failure, he had instead succeeded in cultivating these 2 absolute arts. This was his biggest trump card. The second trump card was the fragment of a saint that he had brought with him. This way, he would be able to block Lin Xian's sage fragment. He believed that without the saint's fragment, he would be able to kill the other party with the help of his 2 divine abilities. The yin-yang saint walked out. He pulled out the yin-yang sword on his back. A terrifying aura filled the air. The entire sky was boiling. This time, I will definitely kill you. The yin-yang sword slashed down. A terrifying light tore through the void. In the face of the terrifying sword light, Lin Xian waved his arm. Countless lightning bolts appeared around him. Then, they turned into a flash of lightning sword chi and slashed out. This was the 9-fold thunder sword that he had just cultivated. He wanted to see how powerful it would be. Whoosh! Lightning sword chi filled the air. Streaks of lightning sword shadows lined up in the sky. They turned into a sea of lightning and surged forward. The yin-yang sword light and the lightning sword light collided and tore through the void. Boom! The lightning sword light was swept away. The yin-yang sword light slashed down. Lin Xian's figure flashed, dodging the attack and appearing in another space. Seeing this, the yin-yang saint smiled. Kid, did you see that? My strength has changed tremendously compared to before. You are no longer a match for me. Lin Xian ignored the other party. He nodded slightly. Not bad. The power of the 9-fold thunder sword had exceeded his expectations. He had only cultivated for a few days, but he already had such power. Thinking about it, after successfully cultivating it, it would definitely be extremely terrifying. Thinking of this, a few streaks of lightning appeared in his eyes. Once again, he activated the 9-fold lightning sword and charged over. Streaks of thunder swords circled in the sky, forming numerous thunder beasts that roared in the void. The yin-yang saint waved his yin-yang sword and swept it in all directions. He finally gained the upper hand this time. Seeing this, the yin-yang saint was very proud. Kid, hurry up and display your ultimate move. Otherwise, you won't have a chance. Wait till you hurt me before you say that. Lin Xian snorted and pulled out the ancient dragon abyss sword. Thunder Wound. An ultimate move flashed past like lightning. The terrifying thunder transformed into a magical sword light and charged out. This ultimate move was very fast. Like divine thunder descending, it slashed towards the Yin-Yang Saint. The Yin-Yang Saint was shocked. But at this moment, his figure instantly disappeared. He actually dodged it? The Crimson Dragon was shocked. Lin Xian was also surprised. This thunder wound was an attack that specialized in speed. How could the other party dodge it? He had to admit that this was beyond his expectations. This guy's speed was so fast. He was no weaker than his demigods and semi-devils. The last time he saw him, he didn't seem to have such a magical footwork. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to kill him so easily. It seems that not only did your strength increase, but you also have a new superpower. Lin Xian didn't continue attacking. Instead, he stared into the distance. In the distance, the Yin-Yang Saint's figure appeared. He looked very proud. Of course. My Yin-Yang Saint is very powerful. I have many superpowers. It's definitely not something you can imagine. Now I'll show you my chaotic Yin-Yang inverse steps. This was a terrifying footwork. It had reached an extremely high level and was very difficult to master. So until now, the Yin-Yang Saint had only just mastered it. But he had just mastered it. That was incredible. His power had increased by a lot. Indeed, when he used the chaotic Yin-Yang inverse steps, his figure was erratic and very fast. In an instant, he appeared behind Lin Xian. Whoosh! The Yin-Yang sword slashed towards Lin Xian. However, it was blocked by Lin Xian. Lin Xian clenched his left hand into a fist and punched out. Heaven battling divine fist. Boom! With one punch, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. It was very terrifying. However, the chaotic Yin-Yang inverse steps was also very terrifying. He dodged it instantly. Buzz! Useless brat, you can't keep up with my speed now. The Yin-Yang Saint came to the other side of Lin Xian again. The Yin-Yang sword in his hand was wide open. In the blink of an eye, he left hundreds and thousands of afterimages around Lin Xian. Every time he appeared, he launched a fierce attack. The terrifying Yin-Yang sword light enveloped Lin Xian. Boom! Lin Xian's body roared. A dragon shadow rushed into the sky and knocked away all the Yin-Yang sword light. The ancient Taoist robe on Lin Xian's body burned fiercely, forming a strong defense. Chaotic Yin-Yang inverse steps? Very powerful indeed. You can keep up with my speed. However, you don't have any advantage. My speed isn't any weaker than yours. At this point, Lin Xian used all his strength to use the Heavenly Dragon's 8 steps. His speed also soared to the limit. The two figures appeared and disappeared in the sky. They were extremely fast. Even the Yin-Yang sect cultivators in the distance were shocked. **, this brat is so fast. Yes, he can even catch up with our saint. Heavens, what kind of footwork is he using? How can it be comparable to our Yin-Yang sect's ultimate technique? These people were all stunned. The Yin-Yang saint's face also darkened. He had the upper hand, and the feeling of being suppressed made him feel very good. However, he did not expect that once his opponent's speed increased, his original advantage would disappear. ****. The Yin-Yang saint attacked wildly. However, his opponent's lightning sword aura was very terrifying. It was difficult for him to break through in a short time. Moreover, his opponent had a very violent fist that seemed to be able to destroy the world. This was also a threat to him. Buzz! The Yin-Yang saint formed a seal and activated 3 Yin-Yang shields. They formed a triangle and rotated in front of him. It resisted Lin Xian's terrifying attack. At the same time, he slashed out a few more Yin-Yang sword lights. Then he retreated and put away his Yin-Yang sword. He raised his hands high above his head. Brat, I'll show you another ultimate technique of the Yin-Yang sect today. Chapter 2598. The yin-yang saints yin and yang qi circulated rapidly. Then, a black and white bottle appeared. The moment the bottle appeared, it released thousands of auras that enveloped Lin Xian. Yin-yang bottle, keep! With a whoosh, Lin Xian was sucked in. The yin-yang bottle spun in the sky, emitting a mysterious power. The yin-yang saint laughed. Ha ha! Kid, let's see how you escape this time. He was very proud. Once one entered the yin-yang bottle, there was no way out. It contained the purest yin and yang qi. It was enough to destroy any strong cultivator and turn them into a pool of blood. Damn, kid, are you okay? The Crimson Dragon was also shocked. He did not expect Lin Xian to be sucked in instead of dodging. He could not help but want to attack. In the distance, the yin-yang saint and the others laughed wildly. They looked at the Crimson Dragon and sneered. Damn snake, just you wait. After we turn that kid into a pool of blood, it will be your turn. Inside the yin-yang bottle, the terrifying yin and yang qi spread. It completely enveloped Lin Xian and wanted to refine him. The yin and yang qi was far beyond Lin Xian's imagination. It was too terrifying. Probably no one below the invincible king level could resist it. Damn it, the yin-yang saint had really become stronger. Lin Xian frowned. The flames from his ancient Taoist robe were suppressed. It seemed that he would really be melted soon. Humph! Lin Xian snorted. The dragon sword soul erupted from his body. Streaks of dragon-shaped sword qi rushed out and slashed in all directions. When the dragon sword soul collided with the yin and yang qi, there was a sizzling sound. The yin and yang qi were being destroyed bit by bit. Seeing this, Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that although the yin and yang qi were powerful, they were still lacking compared to the dragon sword soul. He waved his hand. Dragon-shaped sword qi surrounded him and protected his body. However, although the dragon sword soul could destroy the yin and yang qi, it was not fast. It could only protect himself. Lin Xian still could not get out. This yin-yang great Tao treasure bottle was indeed miraculous. Lin Xian was shocked. Even the great dragon sword soul, which had such a powerful attack power, was only able to wear down a little and maintain a temporary balance. It was unable to break through with a single strike. He had to admit that the divine powers of the yin-yang sect were truly terrifying. However, it wasn't as if he had no other way. With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian's eyes shone with a golden light. Suddenly, one black seed after another floated out of the void. It was the Dark Night magical gold that had created the Dark Night insects. After summoning them, Lin Xian controlled the 100 night bugs to madly attack. These Dark Night bugs were terrifying. They could even chew through top treasures. Therefore, under their crazy attacks, they were able to bite through the yin and yang qi. Seeing this scene, Lin Xian was overjoyed. He directly sent out the great dragon sword spirit. With the help of the Dark Night insect, he began to frantically crack the yin-yang great Tao bottle. Outside, the yin-yang saint and the other experts of the yin-yang sect sneered. They knew that the other party wouldn't be able to come back alive after entering. Therefore, they looked at the Crimson Dragon. Damn snake, are you going to die on your knees, or are you going to be pierced through the heart by our arrows? This snake looks pretty good. It should be a powerful demon king. They could peel off its skin and stew it as snake soup. It would definitely be very nutritious. Behind them, the experts of the yin-yang sect sneered and stared at the Crimson Dragon. The Crimson Dragon was furious. Damn it, how dare they target Ben Wang? Go to hell! Bang! Suddenly, the arrogant expert of the yin-yang sect exploded into pieces. Blood splattered on the faces of the people around him. Seeing this, everyone screamed in horror. Their bodies shone brightly as they quickly defended themselves. Damn it! Who did this to him? They were going crazy. The yin-yang saint stared at the Crimson Dragon with a cold light in his eyes. Could it be that the other party did this? But he didn't see the other party attack. The Crimson Dragon snorted. You still want to eat Ben Wang? Ben Wang will test all of you first. He opened his mouth and spat out flames that filled the sky. The flames filled the entire space and enveloped the Yin-Yang Saint and the rest of the Yin-Yang sect. Damn snake, how dare you attack us? Kill him! The experts of the Yin-Yang sect were furious. The Yin-Yang Saint snorted. The Yin-Yang shield spun around him and blocked the flames in the sky. The experts of the Yin-Yang sect behind him also used their magical powers to defend themselves. However, the Crimson Dragon was very powerful now. He wasn't any weaker than the Yin-Yang Saint. Therefore, those martial artists were careless. Many of them were set on fire and instantly turned into ashes. Ah! Damn it, this guy is terrifying. Defend! Everyone exclaimed. Someone opened his mouth and spat out seawater, trying to put out the terrifying flames. However, the seawater evaporated into steam when it came into contact with the flames. Damn it, use the yin-yang water to put it out! A few of them quickly formed hand seals. The yin-yang qi in their bodies turned into a yin-yang sea and surged out. Only then did they manage to block the terrifying flames. However, in such a short period of time, several experts had fallen, and even more people were injured. Everyone looked forward in fear and anger. They didn't expect a snake to be so powerful. The Yin-Yang Saint's face also darkened. The other party's power shocked him. It seemed that he had to do it himself. The next moment, he pulled out the Yin-Yang sword. His aura exploded wildly. Very well, I'll kill you myself. The Crimson Dragon snorted. Come, grandson. Grandpa Dragon will play with you. He wasn't afraid of the Yin-Yang Saint. The Yin-Yang Saint roared. You're courting death. He held his sword and charged forward. However, before he could attack, there was a sudden explosion above him. A terrifying energy swept out in all directions. What happened? Everyone was terrified. Many experts of the Yin-Yang sect were sent flying by the energy and spat out blood. The Yin-Yang Saint's pupils constricted. He used the chaotic Yin-Yang steps and disappeared in the air. The Crimson Dragon retreated quickly, but he screamed happily. Because the great Tao treasure bottle above him had broken. A human figure rushed out from the vase above. Kid, I knew you wouldn't die so easily. The Crimson Dragon laughed. The Yin-Yang sect members were stunned. What? That kid rushed out? How could that be? They looked as if they had seen a ghost. The Yin-Yang Saint was also shocked. His face was full of horror. Impossible. Damn it. The Yin-Yang treasure bottle can refine everything. How did that kid get out? He was indeed crazy. According to his understanding of the Yin-Yang treasure bottle, anyone below the Invincible King level would never be able to come out. However, the other party had come out. Damn it! The Yin-Yang Saint gritted his teeth. He held the Yin-Yang sword and charged forward again. At the same time, he secretly activated the Saint's fragment in his hand. He wanted to kill Lin Fan in one blow. A bolt of lightning shot out, creating a dazzling light. It tore the space apart and charged toward Lin Xian. Sensing this energy, the Crimson Dragon and Lin Xian's expressions changed at the same time. Chapter 2599. Oh no, this is the power of a sage. A fragment of a sage. Damn it, this guy actually brought a fragment of a sage and attacked suddenly. He wants to kill me. The Crimson Dragon gritted its teeth. Lin Xian's expression was also cold. You want to kill me with just a fragment of a sage? Stop dreaming. I have a fragment of a sage too. The next moment, he threw out the sage's skeletal hand and tore open a corner of the seal. Suddenly, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Strong winds swept across, causing a strange phenomenon. The two fragments of a sage clashed in the sky, and a terrifying force pierced through all directions. The Yin-Yang sect elites all retreated, their faces full of shock. It was too terrifying. They could not withstand this force at all. Do you think you can kill me? After blocking the opponent's attack, Lin Xian sneered. The Yin-Yang Saint's face darkened. He did not expect his opponent to react so quickly and block his ultimate attack. The next moment, he stood in the void. There was a black and white mirror above his head. It was bobbing up and down, and only 1/3 of it was intact. It looked like a yin-yang mirror. I can still kill you without a fragment of a sage. The yin-yang saint gritted his teeth. Lin Xian laughed. Is that so? You don't have a fragment of a sage, but I do. Rosalong, go, kill him. What, you still have a fragment of a sage? Hearing this, the yin-yang saint's eyelids twitched wildly. The yin-yang sect elites behind him also exclaimed. Heavens, how can there be 2 fragments of a sage? Impossible, he must be lying. The fragments of a sage are so precious. How can he have 2? Moreover, he can't control 2 fragments at once. He must be scaring us. The yin-yang sect elites roared angrily. The yin-yang saint sneered. Do you think I will believe you? How can you have 2 fragments of a sage? Is that so? Lin Xian sneered and did not explain. The crimson dragon flew over. Damn yin-yang brat, you wanted to kill me just now? Now, have a taste of being killed. However, you're very lucky to be able to die at the hands of a saint's fragment. You're worthy of your status as a saint. At this point, the crimson dragon opened its mouth and a broken pagoda appeared. The pagoda was about the size of a palm. It was extremely dilapidated, and many parts of it were filled with cracks. This was the fragment of the saint that he had snatched from Zhang Wuhan. After obtaining the crimson dragon, he had sealed and refined it. Now, he could finally control it. At this moment, the crimson dragon was summoned and tore open a corner of the seal. Suddenly, light swept across the sky like a sun. Boom! The crimson dragon waved its claw, and the broken pagoda flew out. Its power was like a vast ocean, rushing towards the yin-yang child. No, the yin-yang saint's face turned green. He didn't expect that Yi Futian really had a second saint fragment. There was no way he could resist it. The next moment, he turned around and fled. He used the chaotic yin-yang steps to the extreme. He even turned into a flash of light and disappeared from his original spot. However, the attack of the saint's fragment was extremely powerful. Although he managed to dodge the most fatal attack, the shockwaves from the saint's fragment still struck his body and knocked him out of the void. Bang! Half of the yin-yang saint's body was shattered, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Rosalong, leave his storage ring behind, Lin Xian said from the side. The crimson dragon nodded. Don't worry, Ben Huang will definitely succeed. He controlled the broken pagoda again and attacked. Another attack. Saint! In the distance, the yin-yang sect's powerful figures roared crazily. They all used their ultimate techniques to attack the yin-yang saint. However, no matter how strong their attacks were, they couldn't withstand a single blow from the saint fragment. The yin-yang saint roared and used the chaotic yin-yang steps again. At the same time, he used all his ultimate techniques and treasures to resist. Boom! 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 The heavens and earth roared, and the light enveloped millions of miles. The vibrations caused all the beasts below to roar. When everything disappeared, only clouds of blood mist were left in the sky. The yin-yang saint had long disappeared, leaving behind 2 storage rings and a yin-yang sword. Saint! Seeing this, the powerful figures of the yin-yang sect roared crazily. Dead! Their yin-yang saint had actually died. This was like a bolt from the blue. They couldn't accept it at all. Previously, their holy son had been in high spirits, leading them to kill the other party. They also thought that their saint's strength had increased greatly, and he had the saint fragment with him. They thought that it would be a piece of cake. However, they didn't expect that the other party would be fine, but their saint would be killed. It's over, a huge earthquake, a shocking earthquake. The yin-yang sect would definitely go crazy. After all, the death of a saint was a huge matter to a sacred ground. Damn brat, you killed our saint. You're dead meat. The yin-yang sect won't let you off. The powerful figures of the yin-yang sect roared crazily. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Rosalong, kill them all. Don't let any of them off. I'll take the yin-yang mirror. Lin Xian activated the saint's hand bone and charged toward the yin-yang mirror. Although the yin-yang saint was no longer controlling it, the yin-yang mirror resisted with all its might. The yin-yang qi on it turned into two yin-yang qilins, roaring loudly. Boom! Boom! The two sides were locked in a fierce battle. The Crimson Dragon used the broken pagoda and killed all the powerful figures of the yin-yang sect in an instant. Then, he turned around to help Lin Xian. The two of them worked together to suppress the yin-yang mirror. Finally, the yin-yang mirror was suppressed by the combined power of the two saint fragments. In the end, it was sealed. Ha 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 ha, I'm rich. I'm really rich this time. The Crimson Dragon laughed heartily. Not only did he kill the yin-yang saint, but he also obtained a saint fragment. This was definitely a powerful trump card. Other than that, he also obtained a heaven-class sword, the yin-yang sword, and the yin-yang saint's storage ring. Lin Xian put away all the spoils of war, then turned around and left. Zhongzhou, a fairyland. This was the yin-yang sect. At this moment, in a hall of the yin-yang sect, a yin-yang token suddenly cracked from the middle. Then, it broke into two halves and fell to the ground. When the powerful figure guarding the side saw this, he suddenly stood up. His expression was extremely ugly. The saint had died. How could this be? He was too shocked. This yin-yang token had a trace of the yin-yang saint's soul origin. It could record his condition. If the yin-yang saint was killed, this yin-yang token would break instantly. Now that it was broken, it meant that the yin-yang saint was killed. But who dared to kill the yin-yang saint? He did not know, but this was definitely shocking. He hurriedly sent the news over. As expected, the yin-yang sect was enraged. A terrifying murderous aura tore through the sky. Clang clang clang, the entire yin-yang sect was filled with the deep sound of a bell, which reverberated through the 9 heavens and 10 earths. At the same time, a cold voice sounded. Investigate. Who killed the yin-yang saint? We can't let him go. Chapter 2600. The yin-yang sect was frantically searching for the culprit. On the other side, the 3 battle monarchs of the war tribe also looked terrible. The 4 battle monarchs were in contact with each other. Not long ago, they received news from Zhang Wuhan that they had found his tracks. However, when they tried to contact Zhang Wuhan, they could not reach him. Damn it! Something had happened. The 3 battle monarchs looked grave. They hurriedly charged in the direction and location that Zhang Wuhan had given them. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon entered the Black Earth and let it fly. The two of them searched the yin-yang saint's storage room. Lin Xian was very interested in the yin-yang saint's chaotic yin-yang steps. He wanted to see if there was such a technique in the storage ring. Indeed, there was. Lin Xian was delighted. When his soul entered the storage ring, he found many secret martial arts manuals. One of them was the chaotic yin-yang steps. It was an expensive superior-grade technique. No wonder it was so powerful. His demigods and semidevils was also very magical. However, he had only obtained the first half of it. He had already mastered it. If he could not find the second half, it would be difficult for his speed to increase greatly. However, if he cultivated the chaotic yin-yang steps, it would be different. After all, the superior-grade heaven-grade technique was very terrifying. If he wanted to master it, his speed could increase further. Therefore, Lin Xian decided to cultivate the chaotic yin-yang steps. He opened the technique and skimmed through it. Then, he took a deep breath. He realized that he had underestimated the chaotic yin-yang steps. The chaotic yin-yang steps was very terrifying. It was said that when it was mastered, one could reverse the void. This was definitely a terrifying technique. However, superior-grade heaven-grade techniques were very difficult to cultivate. Lin Xian knew this. Therefore, he was not in a hurry. Other than the chaotic yin-yang steps, there were many precious divine crystals and treasures in the yin-yang saint's storage ring. Lin Xian gave these to the Crimson Dragon and started cultivating. Outside, the black earth flew quickly. About 2 days later, Tu's voice suddenly came. Kid, there's something wrong up ahead. Do you still want to proceed? Lin Xian opened his eyes. His figure flickered and appeared outside the black earth. Then he frowned. At the side, the Crimson Dragon also said, The aura around here is so strange, why do I feel so creeped out? Lin Xian's expression was solemn as well. His flaming robe enveloped him. The great dragon sword soul in his body circulated to resist the terrifying pressure. Could it be a forbidden land of death? Lin Xian was shocked. He now knew that the true spirit world had several forbidden lands of death. Even unrivaled kings didn't dare to enter them, and no one dared to talk about them. Perhaps this was one of the places of death. However, the Crimson Dragon shook its head. That's not right. There's no place of death in this area. Wait, what is this place? The Dark God Dragon took out the map and looked at it. Then, he exclaimed in shock. To think that he would be here. Where is this place? Lin Xian asked. The Crimson Dragon took a deep breath. Although this wasn't a forbidden land of death, it was still a very terrifying place. This place should be very close to the Black Demon Cliff. Black Demon Cliff? What kind of place is that? Lin Xian was puzzled. The place where a saint fell. Moreover, it was an extremely terrifying sword saint who fell here. It was rumored that the stunning Nine-Sun Sword Saint had fallen here. This Nine-Sun Sword Saint was very powerful. It was said that he had hopes of becoming a great emperor back then. But in the end, he was still killed. What? There was such a history. Lin Xian was shocked when he heard this. He looked around and was extremely shocked. An extremely powerful sword saint had fallen here. No wonder he felt that the surrounding space was much sharper than other places. Who killed the Nine-Sun Sword Saint? He didn't dare to imagine. The Crimson Dragon shook its head. It didn't know. It was said that it was an extremely terrifying demon saint. Kid, this place is too strange. This is the place where a peerless sword saint fell. We mustn't go near it. Lin Xian also nodded. He decided to walk around the nearby area and experience the mysteries of the Black Demon Cliff. Then, he was ready to leave. The two of them walked around for about tens of thousands of miles. At this time, Lin Xian suddenly stopped. The Crimson Dragon also frowned because the road ahead was blocked by a figure. It was a man who stood in the void with a cold expression. He held a giant axe in his hand that felt as heavy as a mountain. His eyes were like divine light. There was no emotion in them, only cold killing intent. His long golden hair danced in the air like golden flames. Seeing the long golden hair, Lin Xian frowned. The Crimson Dragon muttered softly. Why does he feel like he's from the war tribe? Kid, are you Lin Xian? In front, the imposing figure asked coldly. Yes, I am. Lin Xian asked back. Who are you? Why are you blocking my way? Humph. I am the War Tribe Sky Axe Warlord. His loud voice resounded in all directions. It was indeed someone from the War Tribe. Hearing this name, Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon both frowned. They did not expect that there would be another elite from the War Tribe besides Zhang Wuhan. The aura of the tall figure in front of them was not any weaker than Zhang Wuhan. The Sky Axe Warlord asked in a low voice. Where is Zhang Wuhan? How did you manage to escape from him? He was very surprised. Logically speaking, with Zhang Wuhan's strength and trump cards, it should not be a problem to kill the other party. But now, they could not contact Zhang Wuhan. Could it be? There was a result that they did not dare to imagine. How did he escape from the pursuit? Of course, he killed him. Su Qin sneered. I advise you to hurry back to the War Tribe. Otherwise, you'll end up like him. Presumptuous. Kid, you're courting death. You said you killed Zhang Wuhan? That's impossible. The Sky Axe Warlord shook his head coldly. He did not believe it. Humph, you can try whether or not I have the strength to do so. Lin Xian did not waste any time and directly attacked with the ancient Dragon Abyss sword. You dare to attack me? You're courting death. The Sky Axe warlord's expression was cold as he raised the giant axe in his hand. Hum! The giant axe emitted thousands of rays of light and directly cut through the void. The axe was too terrifying. It was as if it was a divine axe that could split the heavens. It carried with it an unparalleled power. When the axe fell, it was extremely domineering. It was as if a giant mountain was pressing down from the sky. Boom! The space in front of Lin Xian was instantly blasted apart. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon's pupils constricted as they quickly retreated. Boom! They were swept by the shockwave of the attack and felt the blood in their bodies churn. Damn, this guy's strength is terrifying. The Crimson Dragon also had lingering fears. Even though his defense was strong, he still felt his heart skip a beat. Lin Xian's expression was solemn as well. 5 elemental swords, 5 swords seal the sky. Lin Xian swung the ancient dragon abyss sword. Suddenly, 5 huge swords of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth appeared in the sky, connecting heaven and earth. They descended from the sky. The Sky Axe warlord was enveloped. Chapter 2601. The 5 elemental swords connected with each other, forming a terrifying 5 elemental sword formation that sealed the Sky Axe battleship. Hum! At the same time, he used Flower Protector, and a terrifying sound wave attack surged toward the 5 elemental sword formation. That demonic sound made people's expressions change. As expected, the Sky Axe battleship sensed the terrifying demonic sound, and his expression changed. He waved the giant axe in his hand and slashed in all directions to resist the demonic sound. Flower Protector! It was the legendary Flower Protector! Kid, I didn't expect you to have such a thing. No wonder you could escape from Shang Wuhan's pursuit. The Sky Axe battleship had heard of ancient weapons like Flower Protector. However, he didn't expect Lin Fan to have it. Flower Protector is powerful, but you can't fully use it with your current strength. I think it has several layers of seals. Do you think that you can threaten me with just this kind of power? The Sky Axe battleship sneered. If an invincible king or sage attacked him with Flower Protector, he would not be able to resist. But his opponent? He was not afraid at all. In the next moment, he would use his giant axe. One axe to destroy the sky. Boom! A huge crack appeared on the 5 elemental sword formation, and then it shattered. The Sky Axe battleship charged out. At this moment, the Sky Axe battleship was filled with murderous intent. He walked in the sky like a mighty god. The axe fell, tearing through the void, intending to cut Lin Xian in half. Clang! Lin Xian raised his sword to block. The long sword slashed across the sky, and a terrifying sword light illuminated the entire sky. Under the attack, the void cracked open, and a huge crack spread over 10,000 meters. It was a terrifying sight. Boom! The giant axe was blocked, but the Sky Axe battleship did not stop attacking. He clenched his left hand into a fist and punched out. A golden light shot into the sky like the sun, carrying with it an incomparably powerful force. Heavenly Divine Fist. The Sky Axe battleship used the Heavenly Divine Fist, the Heavenly Divine Fist. Seeing this, Lin Xian was stunned for a moment, then he sneered. He clenched his left hand into a fist and punched forward like a meteor streaking across the sky. Bang! The 2 fists collided, creating an earth-shattering sound. With the 2 of them as the center, more and more spatial cracks appeared around them. In the next moment, both of them retreated several miles, stepping on the void. The qi and blood in their bodies were roiling, and their arms were numb. Lin Xian snorted coldly as he circulated the secret art of longevity, and the great dragon sword's spirit to restore his strength. The Sky Axe battle monarch raised his head, his pupils constricting. Damn it, how do you know the heaven battling divine fist? He was dumbfounded because he realized that his opponent was using the same fist technique as him. But how was that possible? What he used was the War Clan's absolute art. Aside from their War Clan's martial artists, no one else knew it. Furthermore, even in the War Clan, not everyone knew how to do it. Apart from a few elders and geniuses, only the 4 battle kings knew how to do it. But why would the other party use it? What do you think? Lin Xian sneered but did not answer. The Sky X warlord's pupils shrank. Could it be that Zhang Wuhan had really been killed? He really didn't want to believe it, because Zhang Wuhan's strength was about the same as his. But if he hadn't been killed, how could his opponent know the heaven-battling divine fist? He must have taken Zhang Wuhan's storage ring. At this thought, the Sky Axe warlord's face darkened. Considering the current situation and the fact that they couldn't contact Zhang Wuhan earlier, it seemed that Zhang Wuhan was most likely dead. Damn brat, I don't know how you killed Zhang Wuhan, but you've committed a heinous crime. Now, go to hell and repent. The Sky Axe warlord swung his axe again. This time, he used his bloodline power. The empty palace was shaking, and Lin Xian's heart was also trembling violently. He realized that the Sky Axe warlord was stronger than Zhang Wuhan. At least in terms of strength, he was stronger than Zhang Wuhan. Buzz! Lin Xian opened the 5 seals on the Molten Dragon Abyss sword. His combat strength increased again, and he charged forward. An intense collision ensued. Terrifying sword lights crisscrossed the sky. Sometimes they turned into lightning, sometimes they turned into the power of the 5 elements, and sometimes they turned into a sky full of chaotic chi. The Sky Axe Battlemaster was forced to retreat. It was as if the heavens and earth had been split apart. His entire arm was numb, and he couldn't feel it. The Sky Axe warlord was shocked. His opponent's combat strength was so strong that he could even suppress him. Damn it, get out of my way! Bloodline runes appeared on his body, and his strength soared. He forced Lin Xian back. He had gained the upper hand again. But soon, he was sent flying. That was because a dragon-shaped sword shadow that was 1,000 miles long had flown down from the sky and collided with his huge axe, sending it flying. His entire body was sent flying backwards. The Sky Axe warlord only stopped after flying for a few thousand miles. He made a grabbing motion with his hand, which blotted out the sun, and grabbed the giant axe that had fallen to the ground. At the same time, the bones in his body let out cracking sounds as they quickly reconnected. He stared ahead with murderous intent. Lin Xian looked at him and said coldly, "I told you that you can't do it. Kid, don't be so smug. This time, the battle tribe has sent 4 warlords. In addition to Zhang Wuhan and me, 2 warlords are on their way here. This time, you'll definitely die." What? 2 warlords? Hearing this, Lin Xian frowned. The Crimson Divine Dragon's eyelids twitched. Damn, the battle tribe is too shameless. You sent 4,000-year-old monsters to kill a late-stage prodigy? You've really lost all your face. To be honest, he was furious. Lin Xian was also filled with murderous intent. You sent 4 warlords to kill me? You think too highly of me. However, those 2 battle emperors might not be able to make it here in a short period of time. The battle tribe likes to fight with numbers. Today, I'll let you have a taste of what it's like to fight with numbers. Rosalong, attack together. Don't hold back. Beat him up. Lin Xian was truly enraged. The other party was simply too shameless. Since that was the case, there was no need for him to hold back. The Crimson Dragon walked over and laughed. Great, I love drinking the blood of the battle tribe's experts. Indeed, the blood of the battle tribe's experts contained the power of the bloodline, which would be of great help to him. What can a snake do to me? The Sky Axe warlord snorted disdainfully. Snake, my ass! The Crimson Dragon roared. He swayed his body and transformed into a giant dragon that was 10,000 feet long. He bared his fangs and brandished his claws, filling the entire sky. His aura also erupted in an instant. It was as if countless giant mountains were pressing down on him. The surrounding void began to shatter rapidly. Roar! A dragon roar resounded, and the dragon flames that filled the sky descended from the sky, turning into huge fireballs. They brought with them surging flames as they descended. In an instant, the Sky Axe warlord was engulfed. Bang! 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 The Sky Axe warlord waved his giant axe to fight back. However, he had underestimated the flames. They were as terrifying as divine flames. Even his body was set ablaze, burning rapidly. Chapter 2602. Die! The Sky Axe Battle Monarch roared. 18 giant axes rushed out from his body and extinguished the flames around him. However, his body was charred black and he was in a sorry state. Damn it! The Sky Axe Battle Monarch's face turned gloomy. He realized that the snake's strength was not any weaker than his. This would be troublesome. His life would be in danger if he was attacked by 2 people who were on par with him. He was not a fool. He decided to retreat. When the other 2 battle monarchs arrived, the 3 battle monarchs would attack together. But how could he escape? Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon had their eyes on him. There was no way the Sky Axe Battle Monarch would be able to escape. Under the gaze of Lin Xian and the Crimson Divine Dragon, the Sky Axe Warlord trembled as a chill ran down his spine. Damn it, these 2 guys are not going to let me go! He roared and waved the giant axe in his hand to fight back. However, he was no match for them. Bang! A shattering sound came from the void. Like a meteor, he was blasted away, spraying a large amount of blood in the sky. Bang! Bang! The Sky Axe Battle Monarch was indeed powerful. Even though he was injured, he seized the opportunity to escape. The blood was from the battle tribe and contained the power of bloodline. He used a secret technique and turned it into a crimson dragon. It wrapped around him and tried to tear the void apart to escape. Hum! Lin Xian's long sword slashed down from the sky. The huge sword light was like a heavenly monument. It shattered the void and sent the crimson dragon flying. Bang! The Sky Axe Battle Monarch vomited blood and was sent flying. Crack! At this time, the crimson dragon arrived. It waved the 2 heaven-grade artifacts in its hands and attacked the Sky Axe Battle Monarch. Even though the Sky Axe battleship was clad in formidable armor and an ancient shield, he was still sent tumbling on the ground. Hum! A loud dragon roar sounded. The dragon sword's spirit had completely exploded. It turned into a dragon star sword shadow and attacked. The ancient shield was split in half. The crimson dragon's claws roared and slammed into the armor, shattering it. Poof! Large chunks of the Sky Axe Battle King's bones were broken. His flesh and blood were clawed up by the dragon claws and scattered in the air. Lin Xian slashed out with his sword, directly chopping off one of his arms. In the blink of an eye, the Sky Axe Warlord was severely injured and almost died. He roared like a madman, but there was no one around. As for the other 2 Battle Kings, they wouldn't be able to make it in time either. Right now, a sense of despair surfaced in his heart. It was the same despair that Zhang Wuhan had felt earlier. Because they were too arrogant. In their eyes, the other party was just a brat, an ant-like existence. They did not put him in their hearts at all. But now, they realized that they were gravely mistaken. Not only were the 2 people in front of them not ants, but they were also terrifying dragons that could threaten their lives. Damn it, you can't kill me! I am the Battle Clan's 4th Great War Prince. If you kill me, the war race won't let you off. The Sky Axe Battle King was finally afraid. He no longer had the arrogance from before. Now, he was begging for mercy. Lin Xian sneered. Won't let me off? Do you think that the war race will let me off if I don't kill you? What a joke! Ignorant. Now, you can go to hell and accompany Zhang Wuhan. Lin Xian took out the sage's hand bone. The Crimson Dragon also took out the broken pagoda. The Sky Axe Battle King was shocked when he saw the broken pagoda. That was Zhang Wuhan's Dharma treasure. Now, he was finally sure that Zhang Wuhan had been killed. Damn it! His face instantly turned green. There was no way he could withstand 2 sages' broken pagoda. Boom! Heaven and earth collapsed. Everything within 1,000,000 miles was reduced to nothingness. When everything returned to normal, the Sky Axe Battle King's body fell to the ground. His body was in pieces, and his armor was shattered. blood flowed like a river. His life, including his soul, had been completely destroyed. The Battle King of the war race was nothing more than that. The Crimson Dragon looked at this scene and sneered. He took off his storage ring and threw it to Lin Xian. At the same time, he opened his bloody mouth and swallowed the Sky Axe Battle King's body. At a place extremely far away, the other two Battle Kings were quickly rushing over. All of a sudden, one of the jades in their hands exploded. Oh no, the Sky Axe Battle King had an accident. Seeing this, the two of them roared like crazy. Damn it! Damn it! They did not know why the Sky Axe Battle King had an accident after Zhang Wuhan. It was inconceivable. Therefore, the two of them decided to meet up first, and then kill their way over together. The two of them quickly met up. Lin Xian collected the spoils of war, then turned around and left. They did not go far because Lin Xian wanted to explore Black Demon Cliff. What? Hearing this, the Crimson Dragon shuddered. Kid, do you want to die? He really did not want to go in. However, Lin Xian said that he felt a sharp sword intent between heaven and earth. If he could comprehend it, it would be of great help to his path of swordsmanship. Indeed, Lin Xian was very talented in swordsmanship and had reached a very high level. Few people of the same level could match him in swordsmanship. Not even the elders of the sacred grounds. But now, when he arrived at Black Demon Cliff, he found that the aura of swordsmanship around him was much stronger. It was countless times stronger than his. Because it was left behind by the Nine-Sun Sword Saint. The Nine-Sun Sword Saint was so powerful that tens of thousands of years after his death, the aura of swordsmanship still remained. One could imagine how terrifying the other party's swordsmanship was. This was an endless treasure trove for Lin Xian, although it was a little dangerous. However, Lin Xian felt that he still wanted to explore it. Of course, he promised the Crimson Dragon that he would definitely not enter the depths of Black Demon Cliff and would only take a look at the periphery. Hearing this promise, the Crimson Dragon breathed a sigh of relief. Because this place was too strange, the sacred grounds did not dare to casually inquire about it, and the invincible kings would not come here for no reason. Well, let's take a look at the periphery. The Crimson Dragon accompanied Lin Xian and set off forward. When the two of them walked for 10,000 miles, the aura of spiritual power around them suddenly became stronger. There were fine sword waves wandering in the air, and at the same time, there was a black demonic aura circling in the air. The two auras existed in the world at the same time. These sword waves should have been left behind by the Nine-Sun Sword Saint, but what was this black demonic aura? Could it be left behind by the demon saint who killed the Nine-Sun Sword Saint? Heavens, who was the other party? How could he kill the Sword Saint? Sensing the aura and energy around him, Lin Xian was extremely shocked. The Crimson Dragon stood at the side and said, Kid, do you see those broken mountains in the distance? It is said that they were collapsed by a drop of blood. A drop of blood crushed a group of mountains. Lin Xian was shocked. As expected of the blood of a saint. Chapter 2603. The blood of a saint could be passed down, and it was extremely terrifying. It contained the fragments of laws, and it was said that a drop of a saint's blood could easily kill a peerless powerhouse. Even an invincible king would not dare to touch it. Lin Xian stood there, silently comprehending. However, the demonic aura in front of him quickly rolled and turned into black beasts, pouncing towards him. Demonic aura! The aura of the Devil Saint, even after tens of thousands of years, still possessed such a terrifying divine ability. The Crimson Dragon looked at this scene in shock. Indeed, the demonic beasts formed by the demonic aura were extremely terrifying. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws as they charged towards Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. Before they arrived, the boundless demonic aura that carried with it a violent aura had already caused the blood in Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon to churn. Damn it, get out of my way! Lin Xian roared and slashed out with his sword. But soon, his expression changed. This was because he realized that his sword did not achieve the effect he had expected. There was no terrifying sword light rushing out. Damn it, what's going on? Lin Xian was surprised. The Crimson Dragon also exclaimed. Why do I feel like I'm being suppressed? No wonder it's called the ominous place. Kid, let's go. The dark red dragon swung its tail, shattering the void and sending a few demonic beasts flying. Lin Xian also frowned. Was he being suppressed? He tried again and realized that his sword chi was indeed being suppressed. The 9 Sun Sword Saint's sword intent was too powerful. Other swordsmen and kings would definitely be suppressed here. Not only the 9 Sun Sword Saint, but there was also an even more terrifying demon saint. The demonic aura that he emitted could suppress other kings. Therefore, when one came to the Black Demon Cliff, one's strength would be greatly reduced by half. No wonder it was called the ominous place. Indeed, just standing at the edge was already so terrifying. Lin Xian took a deep breath, but his eyes were shining with excitement. His sword chi being suppressed was also a form of cultivation for him. Buzz he immediately pulled out the ancient dragon abyss sword and charged forward. So what if there was no sword chi? With Lin Xian's strength, it was still very terrifying. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon worked together to kill all of the demon beasts conjured by the demon chi. Buzz roar! After the demonic chi shattered, it did not disappear. Instead, it quickly gathered together to form a huge monster. It was 300 meters tall, and its entire body was pitch black, emitting a terrifying demonic aura. The demonic chi condensed into a gigantic bull demon king. It was indomitable and possessed boundless strength. He held a huge black axe in his hand and swung it down. With a chop of the axe, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. The earth split apart. Lin Xian felt as if his body was about to explode. He roared, and the great dragon sword soul in his body roared rapidly, suppressing the churning blood. At the same time, he tapped his foot and quickly retreated. 1. The ancient dragon abyss sword swung out, bringing with it the power of Mount Tai, smashing over. When it collided with the huge black axe, countless sparks flew and pierced through the void. Lin Xian was forced to retreat a few steps. The black demon bull roared into the sky. What terrifying strength! Lin Xian was shocked. He had to admit that he was surprised that his opponent could force him to retreat. Although he was being suppressed, his power wasn't something that ordinary almighties could withstand. However, the black demon bull demon king was unharmed. In fact, it even had the upper hand. It seemed that it had surpassed an ordinary almighty. Lin Xian was in danger. On the other side, the Crimson Dragon was also roaring. Because on his side, there were also 8 or 9 black shadows. Each of them turned into a black python and attacked him quickly. Under normal circumstances, the Crimson Dragon would not be afraid of these at all. But now, his cultivation strength was also suppressed. So now, he was also locked in a fierce battle. Damn it, get lost quickly. Otherwise, Ben Huan will use the Sage's Fragment. The Crimson Dragon roared. When had he been bullied by a few pythons? However, at this moment, Lin Xian said, Rosalom, don't use the Sage's Fragment. Use your own strength to attack. This was a good opportunity to hone your battle skills. Damn, kid, are you crazy? Why do I feel that you're more battle-hungry than those lunatics from the war tribe? The Crimson Dragon's mouth twitched. Lin Xian was very excited. He held his sword and attacked again. At this moment, he repeatedly used the 9-fold Thunder Sword and the heaven-battling Divine Fist. Even his feet were no longer the demigods and semi-devils, but the chaotic yin-yang inverse steps. That was because it was best to practice these heaven-class techniques in actual combat. As expected, although Lin Xian was at a disadvantage and was even sent flying a few times. But he was getting more and more familiar with the 3 heaven-class techniques. Not only that, Lin Xian also used the chaotic Heaven Destroyer Sword and the 5 Elements Sword technique. He wanted to see if he could comprehend something new from these 2 sword techniques. Just like that, Lin Xian used his ultimate techniques one by one to hone them in battle. In the end, the giant bull demon was killed by him. With a wail, the bull demon fell to the ground and turned into demonic chi, rolling away. On the other side, the 8 pythons were all torn in half by the crimson dragon. Kid, let's go quickly. Otherwise, the demonic chi will continue to transform. It's endless. The crimson dragon quickly flew over and nodded. Lin Xian nodded. He wanted to see what was ahead. Therefore, the two of them tapped their feet and quickly flew forward. Buzz, buzz, buzz. After crossing a mountain, they arrived at a valley. Suddenly, Lin Xian and the crimson dragon retreated. Their pupils shrank as they smashed through the void. Lin Xian was even more shocked. The great dragon's sword soul in his body kept roaring. What a powerful sword intent! He was too shocked. Because just as they crossed the mountain and before they reached the valley, a peerless sword intent that could tear the world apart rushed out from the valley. It was as if it wanted to split them in half. What a terrifying sword intent! Lin Xian's eyes shone with a golden light. He activated the heavenly secret God Eye and looked ahead. Stone swords were stabbed into the ground in the valley in front of them, and each of them was embedded in the ground. Some of them only revealed the hilt, while others revealed a section of the sword. There were thousands of them densely packed together. And in the middle of these stone swords, there were many figures walking back and forth. They were wearing different clothes, but without exception, their eyes were hollow, and they carried a huge stone sword on their back. They were like patrolling guards, constantly walking in the valley. There's someone? How can there be anyone? Seeing this scene, Lin Xian was shocked. He looked at the crimson dragon. The crimson dragon's eyes also flickered. He thought for a while, then clapped his dragon claws and said, I know, these should be the legendary sword slaves. Sword slaves? What's that? Lin Xian was confused. The crimson dragon said, Do you think we're the only ones who want to come here? The Black Demon Cliff was very famous. Not only the central continent knew about it, but all the 5 continents of the true spirit world knew about it. The one who died here was the 9-Sun Sword Saint. Chapter 2604. The 9-Sun Sword Saint had the 9-Sun body and cultivated the 9-Sun Sword technique. It could be said that these 2 things were enough to make people jealous. If one could obtain the inheritance of the 9-Sun Sword Saint, they would definitely become a saint. They might even become the second 9-Sun Sword Saint. Therefore, for tens of thousands of years, countless people had come here in search of opportunities to obtain the inheritance of the 9-Sun Sword Saint. Among them, there was no lack of powerful peerless swordsmen and invincible kings. But in the end, without exception, none of them came out. In the end, an extremely terrifying living fossil with a terrifying saint's weapon figured it out. It turned out that the powerful people who had entered before were all controlled by the 9-Sun Sword Saint's sword intent and turned into sword slaves. They were enslaved by the Sword Council for generations to protect the entire Black Demon Cliff. What? Sword intent can control people? Lin Xian sucked in a breath of cold air. The 9-Sun Sword Saint was too terrifying. However, what were the 9-Sun Sword Technique and the 9-Sun Divine Body? Lin Xian was very surprised. The 9-Yang Sword Technique was an extremely terrifying sword technique. It was extremely masculine and extremely terrifying. The 9-Sun Divine Body was a body tempering technique. It was rumored that after cultivating this physique, it would not be weaker than the Yi family's saint physique. More importantly, cultivating the 9-Yang Divine Body did not require the power of a bloodline. This greatly encouraged those who did not have bloodline power. However, these 2 divine abilities and cultivation methods had been lost for a long time. It was said that they were hidden in Black Demon Cliff. However, no one could take them out. After hearing the whole news, Lin Xian was stunned. His eyes burned with passion. The 9-Sun Divine Body that was comparable to a saint physique and the unparalleled 9-Sun Sword Technique. Both of these things were very tempting to him. If he could obtain them, Lin Xian was excited. However, the Crimson Dragon beside him said, Kid, I advise you not to think about it. Even invincible kings can't come out. Let alone you. Although you have the great dragon sword soul and the heavenly secret divine eyes, your current cultivation is still too weak. If you really want to go, wait until you become an invincible king and bring the saints treasure. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't have been able to get out. Lin Xian's expression was grave. Indeed, the Crimson Dragon was right. The terror of a saint was far beyond his imagination. Therefore, he was only thinking about the two earth-shattering treasures. However, he could go in and investigate the valley below. He also wanted to see how powerful a sword slave controlled by the 9-yang sword intent was. Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon activated their defenses and walked down. As they approached the valley, they felt immense pressure. However, the two of them could still bear it. From the moment they stepped foot into the gorge, all the sword servants in the ancient times stopped moving and turned around. Wisps of terrifying sword light appeared in his originally empty eyes. Roar! The sword slaves roared furiously as they charged towards Lin Xian and the Crimson Dragon. Terrifying sword chi surged from their bodies. It was abnormally sharp, causing people to tremble. Before he could even get close, the surrounding space had already shattered. Fortunately, there were no invincible king-level sword servants in this valley. Otherwise, Ben Wang would have fled long ago. The Crimson Dragon scanned around and found that most of these sword servants had the cultivation of almighties. There were quite a few almighties. However, there weren't any invincible kings. This made him secretly heave a sigh of relief. Even if an invincible king had become a sword servant, the two of them probably wouldn't be able to fight against them for the time being. Even these sword servants in front of them were a headache for them. On the other hand, Lin Xian was very excited. He waved the ancient dragon abyss sword and once again used the ninefold thunder, the five-form sword, and the chaotic heaven destroyer sword. All kinds of sword techniques surged out and clashed with the sword servants. Boom! Boom! All kinds of sword techniques flew in the sky. It was very dazzling. If someone was here, their jaws would definitely drop. Because whether it was Lin Xian or the sword servants, the sword techniques used were too terrifying. So terrifying. The power of the purest yang could pierce through everything. This was the 9 Suns sword intent. Lin Xian was shocked. It was just a wisp of sword intent, but it could erupt with such power. If it was the real 9 Suns sword technique, how terrifying would it be? He didn't know, but he was very excited. However, his great dragon sword soul was even more powerful. Its attack power was number 1, and it wasn't just for show. Although Lin Xian couldn't unleash the full power of the great dragon sword soul now, just its current power was already very heaven-defying. Therefore, for a moment, he fought with the 6 sword servants with ease. F***ck, what a pervert! The 1-pound Crimson Dragon grimaced. He didn't have any superb sword techniques, but he had the Dragon Clan's divine ability. Therefore, he also had a lot of fun fighting with those sword servants. 1 day passed, 2 days passed, 10 days passed. For 10 whole days, Lin Xian had been fighting. He had the longevity secret, so his spiritual energy storage was more than others. Moreover, he absorbed it very quickly. Even if the surrounding spiritual energy couldn't fill it, he still had many heavenly treasures and divine crystals in his hands for him to absorb. Lin Xian wasn't stingy at all now. He used these resources recklessly. These resources were originally for him to cultivate. Now that there were so many sword servants to practice with him, how could he give up this opportunity? His 9-fold thunder sword technique was improving at an extremely fast speed. 3 months later, with a boom, Lin Xian's body flashed with lightning. The 9-fold thunder sword technique entered the 2nd level. Buzz! The power of his sword technique increased exponentially. The bolts of lightning sword chi were even more violent than before. They instantly blasted the 6 sword servants around him away. This is great! He broke through. Lin Xian was overjoyed. These 3 months were indeed not in vain. The Crimson Dragon at the side rolled his eyes. In the past 3 months, he had already rested 3 times. He wasn't as desperate as Lin Xian. Lin Xian hadn't rested once in the past 3 months. However, the dark red divine dragon was also surprised by the other party's improvement. The ninefold lightning sword was a heaven-class technique. Although it was only at the early stage of the heaven-class technique, it was still very difficult to cultivate in addition to its power. However, in just 3 months, Lin Xian had cultivated to the second level. The Crimson Dragon had never seen such talent before. He was probably on par with those freaks from ancient times. Even without the great dragon sword soul, with this kid's talent, he would probably be a peerless swordsman. The Crimson Dragon's eyes flickered. This kid might really be able to embark on the path of a great emperor. It was just that he didn't know how far he could go in the end. The path of a great emperor was too difficult. Even with the great dragon sword soul, he didn't dare to be 100% sure that he could become a great emperor. After all, the great dragon sword soul had been passed down to Lin Xian for almost 5 or 6 generations. However, the Crimson Dragon only knew of great Emperor Shimin who had become a great emperor with the great dragon sword soul. Other than that, he didn't know anything. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.